of week 2 in term 2 of 2023, better known as season 13 for the Gentlemen Sim Racing Club. First up tonight, Waste Options GT4 comes to you from the Ile Notre Dame in Montreal, Canada, on the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And then we head on to another world-famous Formula One Grand Prix venue, the Imola circuit in Italy, for the second round and the first 60-minute race in Waste Options GT3. I'm Zach Caban. Liam Banks is here alongside me, and new producers are in the booth on a Monday night. Sam Chapman filling in for Adam Lavis for reasons we won't go into, because poor old Adam's up the creek without a paddle at the moment. But nevertheless, thankfully, with the great teamwork that exists and the camaraderie that exists within the club here on any given day, we were able to call Chapo in at the 11th hour, and I didn't clear whether I was allowed to call him Chapo or not on air, so I'm going to anyway, to fill the void left by Adam Lavis's absence tonight. So we're very grateful for that, as you should be as well at home, ladies and gentlemen, because it means that Monday Night Motorsport goes ahead as per usual. Let's all systems go for a big night of racing here on what is a very special night. Of course, it is Anzac Eve. We'll have updates from the MCG throughout the course of the night, the match between Richmond and Melbourne, I should say, in the AFL. And, of course, tomorrow, such a special day on our calendar. So, Liam Banks, good evening to you. Montreal, the venue, cars lining up, and we're in for an excellent night of racing.
We are in for an excellent night of racing, as long as all of the drivers have remembered how to take chicanes, because both tracks are full of chicanes today, and if you are not a driver that enjoys chicanes or can get the best out of them, then you're going to struggle tonight. But one driver that hasn't struggled tonight is Mikey Hammond, as he has taken pole position. Indeed,
he certainly has. Great to see the 007 back as a dominant force in Waste Options GT4. Michael Hammond and Jared Knight, the front row, Trent Lavis and Neville Mell, the second row. Jordan Malcolm, Sam Muir from row 3, Gary Cousins, Clint Collard from 4, Chris Whitaker, and Braden Sagassa from 5. Good to see CW out there after missing out on the production car run last week. Let's go over the page if we can, please, Sam, and have a look at 11 through 20. Nick Wood and Dane Snadden. And if you suffer from epileptic fits, you probably best not look at the screen at the moment. The strobe light effect being applied to iRacing at the moment. Richard King and Jeff Adams from row 7. It's like deja vu. Alan Dawson, Dale Sharp from 8. Adam Proctor, Joe Baldwin from 9. Brian Bullock and Adam Lavis from 10. So, yes, he's got a computer to go racing on, but unfortunately his main broadcasting one has carked it for the night. Matt Stewart, Josh Maynard, Robert McGrath, Grant Gill, Ben Woods, Wayne Edwards, Greg Padgett, Connor Nixon, Jared Daly, and Brendan Soper make up the field here tonight at the Gilles Villeneuve circuit in Montreal, Canada. This circuit just a little over 4 kilometres long. The race, 25 minutes as per usual. There'll be a splash and dash required somewhere along the way. Looking at the times in qualifying, we were somewhere around that 1 minute 40 lap bracket.
The cars are gone. They're off.
Cars are gone. They're off and racing, but we can't pick them up at the moment, so just bear with us. Michael Hammond's going to lead the field to turn 1. Trent Lavis down on the inside of Jared Knight to pip him early in the piece, and he takes the field through turn 2. Jared Knight gets him back as they go round the right-hander. Neville Mell and Jordan Malcolm in behind that, then Sam Muir, Gary Cousins. Neville Mell trying to get by Trent Lavis at the moment. Bear with us, folks. I'm going to describe this to you as best I can based off what I'm reading on the timing screen and nothing else, because I haven't had an iRacing subscription for about 10 months now. Through they go. Mell has got the better of Lavis. So Neville Mell moves up into position number 3. Championship points coming into this round. Neville Mell on top with 61. Michael Hammond with 56, 49 for Sam Muir, 44 for Braden Sagassa, 43 for Connor Nixon. That was, of course, the finishing order last week, the top 5 on the back of that round at the Red Bull Ring. In fact, Connor Nixon got the bonus point for most positions gained, so he leapfrogged Jake Jackson in the order despite finishing 6th. He now sits 5th on points. Down the back straight for the first time, down towards that famous tight hairpin at the end of the back straight. Michael Hammond, Jared Knight, Neville Mell, Trent Lavis, Jordan Malcolm, Sam Muir, then Braden Sagassa in 7th place. Up 3 spots already, the gas man. Jeez, he's hit the gas and got going, if you'll pardon the pun. Gary Cousins, Chris Whitaker and Nick Wood make up the top 10. There they go. That's the most we've seen of the cars so far tonight, out of the hairpin and now down the casino straight towards the end of lap 1. And Michael Hammond will be coming round onto the main straight now. to lead the field across the line. So looking at the clock, I think it's a fair guess the old Zaculator is going to get a bit of a workout tonight because I'm not terribly sure where we're going. 1:45.90 for Michael Hammond. There will be a splash and dash required. The times are just a little bit north of that 1:40 threshold because 1:40 goes into 5 minutes 3 times. So that's perfect for a 15-lap race. So it'll be somewhere around that 14-15 marker, depending upon how long the pit transit is and therefore the subsequent overtime. But I'd say 15's a fair guess or a fair estimate tonight, Liam Banks.
I'd say so.
Keep your eyes peeled on that.
It looks like Trent Lavis has come unstuck at the second corner. He's off track on the track marker and he is down all the way in last place, 30th, after being in 3rd place at the start of the race. So he looks like he may have retired from the race. He's definitely got a tow back to pit lane, so that might be him for the evening. We'll have to wait and see if he rejoins the race as the rest of the competitors make their way down to the hairpin. We're just getting a view of them now, so them going over the curb. Apologies again for the broadcast so far. Sam's jumped in at the last minute and we're just hoping to get this rectified for you.
Go. This is somewhat promising.
Well, this is
Sam,
better.
I don't want to put the mic on it. Sam Muir leads a gaggle of cars through the hairpin at the end of the back straight there, and now they begin the run down the casino straight down to the famous chicane and the infamous wall of champions on the outside of the right-hander at turn 14. So it's 14 turns. It's clockwise direction of this circuit. Michael Hammond leading at the moment, Jared Knight, Braden Sagassa and Neville Mel. Braden Sagassa up 7 spots already on an absolute bloody charge. As they come back to the main straight, Chris Whittaker up 3 spots, Nick Wood up 4, 6th and 7th respectively as they make their way down the main straight once more. 1:42.78, that's more like it from Michael Hammond as they cross the line and head off on lap number 3. GT3 coming up from Imola at the end of this broadcast as well. Trent Lavis on the tow rope in pit lane, so Knight possibly done already for T. Lavis.
Yeah, it looks like he's called it a night. I wonder if we'll see him again in GT3s. Quite possibly might have decided to call it time on the GT4s, get in and practice GT3s and ensure a good result in there. As a good result from the pit lane out of the GT4s is unlikely to happen, particularly because it's too early to take that pit stop and make sure you're going to get it to the end in all likelihood. Mikey Hammond pulling off a bit of a lead now. Looks like he's got one car with him, swapping positions with Jared Knight, but then a bit of a gap down to 3rd place, Braden Sagassa, who we noted was up 7 places, starting from 10th into the podium positions already. Another big mover is Connor Nixon. He's up 8 places from 28th to 20th, and only one of those has come at the expense of somebody going off track. So he's picked up a lot of places very early on, and he did this last week. We saw him qualify at the back of the field. I think it's deliberate ploy to start at the back and have a bit of fun coming through the field. So watch him again. Last week he made it towards the very top 5, I believe, towards the end of the second race. So we'll see what I can do towards the end of the race. We'll see what he can do in this race here as the cars come around. They're about to hit the wall of champions again and start the 4th lap of the race.
So Michael Hammond leading, and he has Jared Knight in close pursuit at the moment. The margin 0.35 of a second. We've got Sam Muir moving up, so too Chris Whittaker and Nick Wood. Neville Mel's come unstuck. Neville Mel has come unstuck, so too Braden Sagassa. They've dropped down to 7th and 8th respectively. Richard King now moves up to 8th. 1:42.06 for Jared Knight, the fastest number of the night. There's Trent Lavis stranded in pit lane as well.
Yeah, looks like we're going to have a hell of a battle at the front with these two, and they are absolutely gapping the rest of the field with Sagassa and Mel coming unstuck. That's opened that gap up to over 7.5 seconds, and in 3rd place now Chris Whittaker, after starting in what I believe was 9th place. He's up into 3rd in 6th, so he'll have to see whether he can find a bit more pace so he can catch these two up front. But I think we may be seeing the breakaway, and these two will be the only cars in a position to win the race unless they come unstuck themselves, which can happen. We've seen how intense the battles at the front of these races can get. Other big movers, you got Adam Proctor. He's up 6 places. He's bouncing around on my timing screen. Yes. We got Richard King up 5 places from 13th to 8th, so he's come from outside the top 10 into the top 10, so he'll be happy with that. And Matt Stewart, another big mover, 21st up to 15th place.
So there's the top 2 on screen now, coming out of the hairpin. They flick it left and then begin the long run down the casino straight. 0.3 the margin, Knight trailing Hammond, but they've gapped the rest of the competition. Barring some sort of monumental disaster for these two, you'd almost back it to be a 2-horse race from this point. big statement to make at the 6.5 minute mark, but by gee, they've opened up. And almost on a saleable margin here of over 8 seconds to Chris Whitaker up in 3rd place now. The old dog teaching the crop that's regulars here in GT4 a few new tricks. There's no doubt about that. Jordan Malcolm in the pit lane. Jordan Malcolm bites the bullet.
So aggressive over the
early.
Curbs there. So aggressive over the curbs. You saw Chris Whitaker taking all the curbs, almost putting himself into the wall on the outside. But you've got to hit those curbs to go quick around here. They don't unsettle the car that much. It looks worse than it is. It does lift the tyres, but actually it just helps you turn a little bit, lets you carry a bit more speed, and actually feels quite safe doing it. So you'll see the confident guys really attacking that, and you'll see some of the unconfident guys towards the back of the field probably not attacking those curbs as hard, and that's going to be where they're losing a little bit of time compared to the likes of Mikey Hammond, Jared Knight, Chris Whitaker at the front of the field.
So we've got Chris Whitaker there in 3rd, and he's got good company in the form of Muir, Wood, then Sagassa, King, Cousins, Proctor and Collard, the top 10 there at the moment. Again, bear with us, folks. We're doing as best we can here in trying circumstances. Poor old Chapo tearing his hair out. Jared Knight, 0.3 of a second. The deficit to Michael Hammond at the moment. 8.5 seconds, then back to CW. And we've already seen a couple of cars come into pit lane. Jordan Malcolm's pulled the trigger. He's come down pit road. But what I also need to point out here as well, Liam was talking about the importance of nailing those chicanes. Be also very well aware that they're fraught with danger with regards to triggering the slowdown penalty from iRacing as well. So you absolutely have to get those right, or otherwise there's 2 potential punishments awaiting for you. One's a concrete wall, and the other is a slowdown from iRacing, and that crucifies you around here.
It absolutely does, and it's not completely consistent across the curbs. There's some curbs you can really attack, really get on the inside, and it won't care. It's fine with it. There's other curves where if you get your left wheel over the white line, it's gonna ping you. So you have to. One of the things you're doing when you're learning the tracks or relearning the track, if it's a track you've driven before, you're actually attacking each curve and trying different lines so you can learn which ones you can attack, which ones you can attack but might put you in the wall, which ones you can attack but will give you a time penalty. So you know what your options are, and you need to learn that for every single chicane. And if you get because if you get it wrong, you're in the wall or you're getting a time penalty, and either of those is going to ruin your race. Time penalties around here as well, they're generally quite steep, over a second. I triggered in when I was practicing earlier today on a couple of these chicanes, and you really don't want to hit that because with the tight battles that we get in GT4, that could be 4 or 5 spots easily.
9.5 minutes on. Hammond the leader, 5.5 laps gone. So as I said, we're on the trajectory for that 15 lap threshold that I was talking about. 142.07 the best from Hammond so far. 142.06 the best number of the night from Knight. Last time around 142.37 for Hammond. 142.27 for Knight. Whitaker, Muir, Wood, Sagassa, King, Cousins and Proctor. Then Stewart make up the top 10. Stewart's up 11 spots. Proctor's up 8. Some big numbers in terms of gains and climbs up the leaderboard thus far. Adam Lavis up to 12th. Josh Maynard 13th, up to 8 and 9 respectively. Then Grant Gill also up 8 from 24th to 16th. We had 30 starters. Trent Lavis out of business there in pit lane at the moment. Forget about that. Everybody else still running, but Brendan Soper's about to go a lap down here. Jared Daly's about half a lap down on the likes of Michael Hammond, lagging in 28th place. We've had Alan Dawson, Connor Nixon, Neville Mell and Clint Collard all pay pit lane a visit thus far, and now Braden Sagassa doing the same thing. 141.99. Sam Muir punches out the best number of the night so far.
Yeah, that's a cracking lap time. It's over 3 times faster than anybody else in the field, except for Nick Wood. Nick Wood going with him in 142 dead for Nick Wood. So Nick Wood the only one anything like the pace of Sam Muir at the moment, and that's going to be that's really going to be hampered here by Chris. Unless Chris Whitaker can pick up his pace, then I think he's going to be the way. Although it looks like they're swapping positions as we speak. I'm just watching their names flick up and down on the timing screen as they keep swapping, and not the only ones as well. There's been a few. Well, I'm assuming are great battles down the field because it looks pretty stable for most of it. So I don't think it's It's a trick of the timing tower, although it does look mighty weird currently. Maynard and Bullock look like they're swapping positions. Snadden's in there as well. That's for 12th, 13th, and 14th place. So each of those drivers looking to get into the top 10. Adam Lavis on his potato of a machine, his backup machine. He's in 11th place, looking to go up to 10th using his backup PC. We then got Grant Gill. He's up 9 places. He's into 15th from 24, so he'll be really happy with how his race has gone.
And doing a very nice job of it as well. We'd like to be able to tell you more. We can't. We'll do our best, ladies and gentlemen.
I wish we could. I'm doing a restart at the moment on the on iRacing, so we'll see if that way I'll switch to
folks, because don't forget, coming up later tonight, all being fair and equal, technological issues aside and sorted, will be round 2 of Waste Options GT3. That one will, of course, be coming to you from the Imola circuit in Italy. Beyond that, of course, Thursday night, Grant, Gilles and I are with you for not only bingo, but also Thursday night motorsport. We're off to the Hockenheim ring for the production cars, TCR this time round, and also then on to Sebring International for the second round of the Porsche Cup and the first sprint round of the season. Circuit de la Sarthe next week, I'm particularly excited about on May 4. And there's the Waste Options GT3 4 standings as they were coming into tonight. And on the subject of Waste Options, we thank them. And also the other great supporters and sponsors, the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, including, of course, Blackout Electrical Solutions, Login Systems, West Orange Motors, Astute Finance, Fisher Door Lawyers, and Flash Graphics. If you love your GT3 racing as well, these boys are doing a little bit of overtime on Sunday. As we head back to the Red Bull Ring. Geez, the Red Bull Ring's getting a good run in April, isn't it? For round 3 and a 6-hour outing of the Login Systems GT3 Endurance Championship, and looking forward to that as well. So a big week ahead here on the platforms of the Gentleman's Sim Racing Club. Jared Knight was leading as we lost picture there a few moments ago, just ahead of Michael Hammond. So a quick slight change of position, but those two are so far out in front of the rest of the pack that it's not funny. They will, in one way, shape or form, make up the top 2 steps on the podium, you would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely, unless they trip over each other, which can and does happen, particularly at circuits like the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, because it's one of the circuits where overtaking is possible, but there's nowhere where it's easy. There's no obvious place to really throw under the inside and be completely safe. The hairpin is tricky. You don't get much traction on the exits. It can be easy just to drift wide into the car on your outside if they try and hang it around the outside. All the chicanes are very difficult to make a move in, but it can be done. So it's one of those that there's just nowhere safe to do it, and it can lead to 2 incidents. And one of the important names to pick out from we saw in the championship standings was Neville Mell. He's at the front of the standings currently, but he's down in 20th place. Started in 4th, is down 16 places, so he's had an incident somewhere. He has pitted, so he will move up the order a bit. And potentially, to be fair, that could just be pits because he's pitted quite early, so not much time for the pack to spread out. So he would have lost a lot of positions with that early pit. But his pace, looking at his pace, he only lost 11 seconds and he's much further than that off the lead. So not sure what's going on there. We'll have to watch and see where he filters back into the pack once everybody's made their stops, so that we can actually see whether he is going to be able to retain that lead, because at the moment he's got Mikey Hammond and Sam Muir. They are 2nd and 3rd in the championship, and they are looking to absolutely take that spot. I know it's early days, and it's sort of like, in the Premier League, you don't look at the table to Christmas. You probably don't look at the championship table until 4th round, but it's still nice to be at the head. You'd still rather be at the head of the championship before Christmas than you would in 10th or 11th place.
And I guess the other thing as well, with regards to all of that, is we don't know until week 7 how it looks when drop rounds are taken into consideration as well. So there are so many different little nuances and idiosyncrasies that we've got to consider when we're weighing up how the championship plays out and how it looks and feels and shapes up. Good news, we've got some pictures back. And we've got timing back for you from the Notre Dame. There's Jared Knight as the race leader. Well clear of Nick Wood, Richard King, Gary Cousins, Adam Proctor, Matt Stewart, Mikey Hammond as well. 9.2 laps gone there. So whatever's happened to Hammond hasn't been pleasant, hasn't been good, because he's sitting there in 7th place and still showing as he hasn't come in for a pit stop yet. So Jared Knight the leader of the race, the fastest lap of the race so far as well, 1:41.84, leads this thing, and Michael Hammond has dropped to 7th. We're not sure why. We won't know why, obviously, until the end of the race and we get the full story, as we persevere with some ongoing challenges here at the moment. So bear with us, folks. But yeah, it's one of those things. You're right. You don't look at the championship points too early in the piece because it's so congested at the top end of town as everyone's sorting themselves out. But then you start to look at things like consistency, who's round, all that sort of stuff, and it slowly but surely starts to balance out. And it's interesting because we do this 4 times a year, 4 10-week seasons. They're over and done in the blink of an eye. Whereas the Premier League, it stretches from August through to bloody May, and there's 38 games to take into consideration. So, pit activity, the end of lap 10, 2/3 race distance. Lap 10, Jared Knight, Nick Wood, Richard King, Gary Cousins, Adam Proctor, Matt Stewart, all on pit road. Michael Hammond continues on.
Mikey Hammond going to be the last to pit here with Jordan Malcolm. He's also not pitted unless he's just coming around to the pits now and is going to pull in. At the moment, the lead driver to have pitted is Chris Whitaker. He pitted on lap 10, so a lap before these guys. It'll be interesting to see where he fills out. If he fills out above these guys, it looks like he might. Nick Wood just coming out of pit lane, and him and Chris Whitaker are right next to each other on track, only a second between them. And so Chris Whitaker's going to around the 4th. Nick Wood gaining that position off Chris Whitaker. Last time we saw he was in 3rd place before the pit stop. Mikey Hammond in 2nd place, and Jared Knight still in the lead despite pitting. Is that correct? Has Mikey Hammond lost that much time that he's come out after the pits?
I'm not entirely sure, if I'm honest with you, because Hammond's right there back on Knight's tail again, according to our timing screen. But then again, also, there's, because of the issues that we're having, there might be a couple of little bits of data and information that aren't leaking through. So I'll be interested to see whether Hammond's got an invoice to pay or whether he's going to go to the end. But I would suspect, based on every other bit of data that I'm seeing here, that he may still have an invoice to pay. That said, Sam Muir's up in 5th place, up 1 spot, and still showing us no stop completed. Jordan Malcolm's up in 8th spot, but I saw the pit light next to his name earlier in the piece. So, yeah, it doesn't all add up, but it might not on a night like this. We're going to have 6 minutes to go, so 4 laps to go at the line. Yep, they're going to get back to the line to get to lap 15 during regular time. That's 11 gone. 5 minutes gets us to 24.25. So the final lap of the race will take us about a minute into overtime. So I think the calculations are bang on first up on a Monday night. That's a good start. Watch Imola bring me undone. Jared Knight, the leader. Michael Hammond second. And some sort of stability. Touch wood. With the pictures coming into you from the virtual Notre Dame and the circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada. Nice to have along for the ride finally. 20 minutes gone. Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the GSRC. And the more things change, the more they stay the same. It was Knight and Hammond duking it out last time we had live pictures coming into the circuit. It's still Knight and Hammond, and that was a very squirrely moment for Jared Knight.
Both of them get squirrely. Jared Knight having a squirrely moment coming out of the curb. Looked like he just touched the grass and their wheels spun a little bit. And then Mikey Hammond getting squirrely before the grass, almost hitting the wall. And I think just trying to fight it to keep it out of the wall. And look how close Jared Knight got to the wall there compared to Mikey Hammond not really going on the curb, whereas Jared Knight all over it, getting right close to the curb, tells you who is pushing, who's not. I think Mikey Hammond just using the slipstream to good effect, staying in touch with Jared Knight, but not really looking to mount an attack yet. It looks like somebody going slow there. I assume that's a lapped marker. I don't see any names dropping down the timing screen. Nick Wood's going to have to defend from Chris Whitaker here. We know how fast he can be in pretty much everything that he drives. Taking a much tighter line on the hairpin there. Will I get him a better exit? Coming out of the corner, he is right behind Nick Wood here. I think we may see him launching a move into the chicane if he's feeling brave, or maybe wait and launch and move into turn 1 and 2, because you can go inside or outside there and make it work. There's just no way to securely defend it. Let's have a look here. So both attacking the curbs. I think Chris Whitaker taking a little bit more curb, definitely getting a better exit there. He pulls out from behind the slipstream almost immediately, but telegraphs what he's doing. Immediately says, I'm coming to the inside here. Nick Wood doesn't defend too much. He's going to try and hang it around the outside. If he can do that and hold it here, he has. A little bit of a touch there, I think, but Nick Wood getting a better line out of the second corner. And actually, Chris Whitaker falling behind and almost under attack from Sam Muir there. Sam Muir took a different line and almost tripped up over Whitaker.
So a three-way fight for third and 3 laps to go. Wood, Whitaker and Muir fighting for that all-important final spot on the podium. And Wood will prove the form in this format. We know that. Muir as well was on the podium last week. Chris Whitaker's somewhat unknown in this discipline. I mean, he's brilliant in TCR. He's had a good run in GT3 in the past. He throws his hat into the ring in Formula V. He doesn't mind dishing out some good banter here in the commentary box. But it's very rare that we see him having a run in GT4, but it is nice all the same to see him testing himself. And he was in here with his old sparring partner, Trent Lavis, so he's already got one up on T. Lavis, who's been in the pit lane for 14 and a half minutes. So he'll be smiling already about that. Now we wait and see what unfolds throughout the course of the remaining few minutes here. Have a look at Jordan Malcolm under pressure, losing out to Clint Collard. Back down the inside. He went on the outside for the end of the back straight, but Collard's covered him off. Malcolm insists on continuing to force the issue. Drag race down the casino straight. Malcolm to the outside. Malcolm trying to wedge his way past Collard to go to Wade's last of the deep breakers. Malcolm holds on for the moment. Collard forced to use a lot of curve through there. They get through cleanly. Now they're under pressure from Adam Proctor as well. 2 laps to go in Canada. Jared Knight still a second away. Oh, Jared Knight's now second to Michael Hammond. Michael Hammond has gone to the lead. So we've missed that while we're watching the fascinating battles further down the field. But Michael Hammond is back in front.
He is back in front. Ooh. Looking forward to seeing how that's happened. Not often we get a overtake lead on the last lap. Of course, I say that. I mean that in motorsport in general. On the GSRC, it's definitely not uncommon. Let's have a look what's happened. So Mikey Hammond following him into the chicane. What's happened here? Is he going to get a slowdown? That's a slowdown. He just slow off the chicane. It has to be. Nothing has gone wrong there, and he's slow all the way up to there. We pointed out earlier. We said about staying off. Yeah, we said about staying off the curbs, and it's come unstuck for Jared Knight here, and he's not got long to make it back through. He's 1.5 seconds behind. We've only 2 laps to go. 2 laps to go, pretty much. That's going to be really hard to do. But he's shown terrific pace all race, and I wouldn't be surprised if that lead comes down and we see a battle before the end of the race. Gary Cousins here, there's a battle behind him between Matt Stewart and Dale Sharp. Dale Sharp going up the inside of Stewart at the hairpin. He's going to get it done. Are we going to see Matt Stewart hang it on around the outside and try and sweep through like we saw the lap before? We'll have to wait and see. So the wind up through this long straight bit of the keep, but it's not really a corner. You don't have to do anything with the front or the brake there. Just keep it flat out and generally easier said than done. Yeah, Matt Stewart's gone all the way around the outside and actually solidifies the position before the chicane. He's going to hold in and get a good release. I don't think that's going to open the door for Dale Sharp to come back through at the first corner, although with the slipstream, maybe he will. And we've cut now to Jordan Malcolm. He's in 8th place. He started in 5th, so he's down 3 positions from the starting spot, but there's some very strong drivers that have made their way up through the field, so perhaps I think that's about par for given where he's started. And we saw with that beautiful overtake of Clint Collard only a lap ago. Clint Collard now looking like he's coming under pressure from Adam Proctor. So we saw trying to get it into that battle, turn it into a three-way battle. The battle was over before he could get there, and rather than Collard coming back in Malcolm, it looks like Collard is slipping into the clutches of Adam Proctor. So he'll be having his work to count, staying to the top 10 over the last 2 laps. 1 lap even.
We're on the last lap in Canada. Quarter time at the MCG. Richmond leading by 3 goals over Melbourne. 5-2 plays 2-2, 32-14. More on that a little bit later. Down the casino straight for the final time. Lights ablaze from Jared Knight, but it will be to no avail. Lap traffic in behind him. Nick Woods nowhere in shot at the moment. He's running third up 8 spots, but a former stalwart of GT4 finds his way back to the top step of the podium. Michael Hammond gets the job done for Porsche on the Ile-Notre-Dame circuit. Gilles Villeneuve in Canada. Montreal goes the way of Mikey. Jared Knight second, finishes with the fastest lap of the race, 1:41.76. But look at this! Aaron Blocker desperately trying to hold on to 10th here. Here comes Bryton Sagassa to the outside. Holds it off for the moment. Watch for the switch back as they come back onto the main straight slipstream. Checkered flag. Here we go. Sagassa with a late lunge on Proctor. Proctor holds on. No, he doesn't. They both actually, no, he does. He does hold on, but Proctor pipped Malcolm. Malcolm chug-a-lugged across the line, limping across the line, possibly out of fuel. That's what caught us out. Oh, boy. There it is. Dane Snadden also out of gas. Jared Knight finishes with the fast lap of the race. Nick Wood third. Sam Muir, Chris Whitaker ended up fifth. So he lost out in that battle completely in the end at CW. Sixth place to Neville Mell, then Richard King, Clint Collard. Adam Proctor up 8 spots. He and Nick Wood, two of the big movers of the night. Connor Nixon, the biggest. And Braden Sagassa in for 10th. Jordan Malcolm drops out of the top 10 on the final lap on the final straight of the race. Gary Cousins, Matt Stewart, Dale Sharp, and Connor Nixon up 13 spots in a field of 30. Not a bad effort. 16th to Alan Dawson, then Josh Maynard, Brian Bullock, Adam Lavis in 19th, and Dane Snadden 20th. Ben Joe Baldwin, Jeff Adams, Robert McGrath, Jared Daly up 5 spots, Ben Woods. There's Mikey celebrating, and rightly so. Wayne Edwards is the last of the finishers on the lead lap. Greg Padgett got home a lap down. Brendan Soper 2 down. Grant Gill failed to finish, so too did Trent Davis. That's all she wrote in Canada. So only the 2 retirements in a field of 30, and Brendan Soper the last of the finishers in all of that. I think we've covered it all. Michael Hammond misses out on the fastest lap, but gets the job done, gets the W, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, definitely 2 drivers there that were the class of the field. Hammond and Knight did nothing wrong all race. Pulled a lead of over 10 seconds throughout a 30-minute race, which is pretty heavy going. Almost a second a lap faster than the rest of the field. About 3/4 of a second a lap faster, I believe, with my quick calculations. I haven't got the calculator, so I can't comment as to the reliability of that. And we see some of the other strong drives down the field there. Con Nixon obviously a standout. Matt Stewart up 8 places from 21st to 13th. That's a strong drive. Joshua Maynard up 22nd to 17th. Another strong drive. And Gerald Daly keeping it clean to claim 5 positions, going from 29th to 24th. And good to see some of the drivers a bit lower down the field having great races and moving up the field just by keeping it clean, making a few good overtakes.
Magnificent racing in Canada. We'll hopefully get a couple of drivers in to have a chat to us in just a few moments' time. Notable absence tonight of Nick Fodiatis as well. We've got Chris Whitaker and Nick Wood standing by. We'll bring them in for a chat here and now. Nick Wood, of course, getting third in all of that, fending off Sam Muir, Chris Whitaker late in the piece. Neville Mell was the race winner last week, 6th this week, so Hammond will clear him in the championship fight. Sam Muir was 12 back on Mel, but only 2 positions up the road tonight. So I think Mel should do enough to hold on to second. Sagassa, Nixon, Jackson. I don't think Jackson was out there tonight. I'm just trying to work out where Jared Knight fell into all of that as well. Just looking down the order. Yeah, he was 27th last week in a D and F, so only 1 point. So that's a result that he desperately needed tonight. Brilliant stuff. Let's get into the post-race discussion here. We're the intermission, as we like to call it, between GT4 and GT3, thanks to Waste Options on Monday Night Motorsport. We've got a little bit of continent hopping to do in just a moment, and hopefully Sam Chapman's computer can cope with that as well as we will. If you're just joining us, apologies. Liam and I worked very hard for our money tonight. I now don't envy anyone that has to fly blind doing circuit commentary or anything of the sort, Liam, because we definitely did that tonight. Let's bring in Nick Wood. Let's bring in Chris Whitaker. Hey, Nick, well done, mate. On the podium. I had to work hard for it, but very early in the piece, it was clear that it was a 2-horse race at the front. Jared and Mikey just took off.
Yeah, for sure. They were way ahead. It was a good race. I think we just managed to
Indeed, and I guess strategy does play a small role in this race, but the pack was backed up early in the piece, so you guys, once you sorted yourselves out, it was all about keeping it on the straight and narrow, keeping it on the black stuff, staying out of trouble, and you managed to do that as well, and that was critically important.
Yeah, for sure. Some guys had some trouble there, so yeah, we managed to gain from that, but pretty happy with that.
And so you should be a nice bounce back after, what was it, 11th last week.
had a spin in the last lap, which didn't help.
No, not at all. And I guess the circuit Gilles Villeneuve suits you down to a T based on what we saw tonight. What about Indianapolis next week?
I haven't done too much around there, so don't know.
All right, we'll wait and see what you bring to the table there, mate. Just having a look at the clock, we've got an 8:30 start for GT3, yes? Can someone confirm that for me? 8:30 race start, just so that I know how long we can go in the post-race.
Yeah, I'll look for you.
Thank you, Liam. Thank you, Sam. Keep going. Hey, Nick, what's the plan of attack here, mate? Because consistency's been the key to your success. There we go. So, yes, 8:30 start time. Okay. Thank you, Sam. Nicely done. Off to the Imola circuit very shortly. We'll get out of here at 25 past and get across to the Imola circuit. Just while I've got you, Nick, consistency's usually been the key to your success. Obviously looking to rectify things on the back of last week's 11th. How are you planning to attack the remaining 8 weeks of the season?
Yeah, to be honest, I'll just be happy if I get, top fives.
All right, very nicely done, mate. Thank you for that. We'll let you rock and roll out of here. Good luck with the rest of the league's racing, and looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table after you learn the Indianapolis circuit again next week.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say thank you to the 50-foot racing guys and helping me out with the setups and things, and also to Player One Sim Gear come on as a sponsor for us. Thanks.
Very nicely done, and well done on the podium, mate. Congratulations on that. We'll get to Jordan Malcolm, Jared Knight and Adam Lavis in just a few moments, but I need to go to this bloke before any of them. Chris Whitaker, what are you doing gate crashing on a Monday night?
Oh, I thought I'd jump in and see what it's all about, this GT4 stuff, mate. So the message from Treno about half hour or so before the start saying you're going to come along and have a play. It's at Gilles.
How did I know?
Why not? Let's come for a dance. We bought the car, Treno sent me a set, made a couple of tweaks to it, the last of which was between quali and race, and that last little nudge seemed to help it out. But yeah, they're a different car, not too bad. The brakes are a bit going, but the rest of it's pretty good fun. Good racing tonight.
And you're right in the heat of the battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th there earlier in the piece, but because we didn't see exactly what happened to Trent Davis, we knew you'd be smiling that you already had one up on him. Bragging rights restored there, but please tell me you had no involvement whatsoever in his incident?
Oh, mate, I wish I did, but unfortunately, no, I didn't on this instance. So I saw him sitting there facing the wrong way. I'm going, oh, what do I do? Do I beat him or do I centre punch him? But I thought beating him on his own game, in the GT4
yeah, that's true.
jam,
Yeah.
That'll dig deeper, that'll hurt him more. So yeah, P5 was the best we could get tonight. There I am making an absolute fool of myself with the ridiculous traction control system this bloody thing's got. But nothing, everything. But yeah, but not a bad little bit of kit. Really good battle there with Nick and Sam. Just didn't do enough practice entries. Only did the one practice entry and lost a fair bit of time on the way into the pit. I think that's probably where Nick picked us. I think.
iRacing 101. Nick Fodiatis should be telling you to hang your head in shame for not practicing your pit entry. That being said, you must be happy with the fact that you can go toe-to-toe with two guys that know this GT4 caper relatively well in Sam and Nick. It was clear that Jared and Mikey were going to be in a different postcode, though you were 3rd at one point.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, the time started to come down. I think my best lap ended up only a couple of tenths off the front boys, but yeah, I was pretty well, so-and-so's to the wall to get it to that stage as well. I'm not sure where the extra time is, but it's probably just a bum and seat thing really. But yeah, good to be playing up front as always.
Can we expect to see more of this caper from you, or is this just a cameo?
Oh, it was supposed to be a cameo, but I don't know. We'll see how we go, mate. It won't be a regular thing, that's for sure. We might jump in from here and there, depending on the track, that sort of stuff. But obviously, my love affair with this place, the home of my first ever GSRC win back in the stock car days. So
we'll never let us forget that either.
Anytime she pops up, mate, that was a bloody good win, if I do say so. So anytime you beat Cal Watmore and Brenton Robson in a stock car and Posy as well, you've got to be pretty happy with yourself.
Yeah, I love it. Now, just before we get going any further, will we see you for the double on Wednesday night, coming to have a crack in TCR at the on Thursday night, coming to have a crack in TCR at the Hockenheimring or not?
Yeah, I'll be heading to Hockenheim in about 5 minutes time. I think we'll go get a couple of practice laps in and work out what car we need to be driving, and get her all tune the buggy up and get her ready to go for Thursday night.
And how'd your real world commitments go this weekend, please? Because unfortunately, and I'm sure you know exactly what I'm going to say here, I've heard mixed reports, but I haven't seen any timing evidence to back it up because Natsov crashed yesterday.
I think the less said about that entire race, the better. It was a bit of a schmozzle, to be perfectly honest. Everything from setting classes with a V8 supercar in with production sports cars. Not sure in what world a supercar is a sports car, but apparently some of them may, in their infinite wisdom, decide they are. But a whole heap of crap with the mark cars in with us as well, and bull crap with red flags and people doing extra laps to get themselves onto the lead lap again, and all this sort of stuff, so that marked cars don't end up a lap down on the paperwork. It was all just a crock of so and so, mate. But my day was over after the first race, mate. I killed the fuel pump on the dummy grid for race 2. So it was drove down there fine, went to start a drive out, and we had nothing.
Oh dear. How appropriate. By the sounds of it, very aptly named, the circus coming to town, and to the end of Champions Way in Willowbank, fair dinkum. I've read some mixed comments about that from one of the marked car drivers actually. Whose comment actually has already been taken off social media by a moderator of a category page. But less said about that, the better. Stick around, CW. I'll have a chat to you in the intermission, which we will go to very shortly. But in the meantime, let's bounce across you. Let's go to Jared Knight and Jordan Malcolm. Jordan, just give us a quick synopsis of your night, mate. Unfortunately, it looks like you either coughed and spluttered to the line or copped a slow down late in the piece. You dropped out of the top 10, finished 11th. But from what we saw, and we didn't see terribly much of the race, you decided to pit early again.
Unintentionally pit early. If I didn't dart to the right, I would have killed for Nick Wood. So, just the last minute decision. So just setting for the rest of the race. And then once you're back down in the back there, you get caught up in incidents that you shouldn't really be involved in, but you end up being anyway. So I reckon I'll leave it at that.
All right, very nicely done. I love that you're being somewhat diplomatic about it, Jordan. Frustrating because obviously when you look at the start of the season, it's been character building to say the very least. How are you hoping to turn it around when we get to Indianapolis?
Yeah, it's been a rough 2 weeks, so changed out the McLaren just because I don't think it's anywhere near competitive. So switched to the Porsche. It's obviously pretty good. Mikey's running up the front with it, so just need to learn how to drive the thing. But just laps in the car will ultimately be the answer. Just the more pace you have, you can run up the front and race with those front guys.
I'm hearing someone having a crack in the background, but it sounds like they're running a Formula E. I'm only hearing little noises and hisses, not anything. Comment coming in, super keen for tonight's stream. So thanks to and Josh Zuno as well. So thanks to the team that are, to the viewers that are tuning in and interacting with us on social media across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. Nice to have you along for the ride. Monday Night Motorsport on the platform for GSRC, and we are now back smoothly running after some technical issues at the top of the night. Jordan, what's next? GT Pro-Am?
Yeah, GT Pro-Am in the Ford GT, so we'll give that a crack again. Hopefully we'll come join you guys in the Pro Sprint next week, but yeah, we'll just manage through this one, and then we'll see you guys Thursday night again for Porsche.
Now, if memory serves, the old Ford GT goes all right around the Brickyard.
It went all right around Detroit. I haven't done many laps around Imola though, so just trying to get on some pace again.
It's a shame that we're going to the Brickyard in GT4 and not GT3 because, again, the Ford GT that you had a crack at way back, I'm fairly certain had an all right run around the Brickyard, if memory serves. There's a lot of racing that's gone under the water since that time, but I'm fairly certain the old that was probably the best performing track for the old Ford GT. We're still petitioning for Matty Dench to have a crack at that Ford GT, actually, just to see if that balances the field out a little bit. But we're not winning that petition battle at the moment. Hey, Jordan, good luck tonight. Go well. We'll see you Thursday.
Yep, sounds good. I might hop in after the GT3 race. You never know.
Please, come and give us an update of how it all plays out. Jared Knight, second to Mikey Hammond. That's no mean feat, but by the looks of it, it was a slowdown that brought you undone.
Yeah, own mistake, was pushing a little bit too hard.
As you have to when you've got Mikey Hammond chasing you down, yes.
Yeah, this is very true. Yeah, I was just running probably a bit more downforce than Mikey, so I actually didn't have a lot while I was behind him. But yeah, the car was really nice once I got out in front of him. Due to the back marker, unfortunately, so I guess the fence seaters will probably say that the race evened itself out, I guess.
Well, possibly. We didn't see enough of it to be able to comment on that one way or another, mate. But very clear, very early in the piece, as long as you kept your nose clean, a top two was almost guaranteed. The way you and Mikey just managed to clear away from the slicing and dicing that was going on behind you.
Yeah, I think we were pretty lucky that the incident happened behind us, because I probably would have ended up battling throughout the race, and that might have dragged the rest of the field back into it. But yeah, it was nice that sort of let us skip away and yeah, just go toe to toe for 25 minutes.
Poorly timed sip of juice on my front. Let's turn our attention to next week, mate. Actually, are you having a crack in GT3 at Imola first? Let's cover that off.
Nah, mate, giving GT3s a miss for this season.
Okay.
So yeah, just jumped in the GT4s at the back end of last season and actually really enjoyed it. So I'll probably try and get a full season on GT4s, and then yeah, just probably the same with Porsches on Thursday nights if I can work out how to drive it and how to get it off the line.
And yeah, well, yeah, exactly right. Starts have been atrocious for the lack of better words for some of you guys in Porsches, because they are a tricky thing to get off the line, and it's still an art that some of you are trying to master. But in saying all of that, next week Indianapolis Brickyard GT4, good combo.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Enjoyed the I think we did Indy in last season of last year. Yeah, that was GT3s anyway, and that was yeah, that was a good one. So yeah, looking forward to getting the Merc going around there. It should suit it, I reckon.
Excellent stuff, mate. Thanks for coming in to have a chat. Good luck later in the week, and we'll catch up with you next Monday night as well.
Yeah, cheers.
All right, very nicely done. There he is, Jared Knight. Quick break, back with more. The platform's the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Touch wood, everything's going smoothly at Sam Chapman's end. Let's hope that remains the way. For round two of Waste Options GT3, it's Monday Night Motorsport. It's Waste Options Monday Night Motorsport. They sponsor both the entree and the main course. We're continent hopping from Canada to Italy on the other side. We're going to the Imola circuit. Round two, the first 60-minute encounter of the season. Waste Options GT3 on a night where the 007 and Porsche have come out on top. They've prevailed victorious in GT4 at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve on the Ile Notre Dame in Montreal, Canada. A break. Good to have you along for the ride. Monday Night Motorsport on Anzac Day Eve 2023. Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. It is term 2, week 2, night 1. And we move from North America to... No, we need the other ones. Sam, we're moving from there. Montreal, Quebec, Canada. We're moving from there to the San Marino circuit in Italy for the old home of the San Marino Grand Prix, the Imola circuit, for round 2 of Waste Options GT3. Race 3 of 14 in the campaign. And the more things change, the more they stay the same. Matty Dench on pole position here for what will be a captivating and compelling round of the campaign. 4.86 kilometres long is this course, 35 degrees the current temperature. Actually, those conditions have now updated. 21 the ambient, 28 on track, partly cloudy conditions. 5 o'clock in the afternoon server time, so we're heading for 7 o'clock, but because they observe that progressive and civilised concept known as daylight saving at this time of the year, we won't even scrape the surface of sunset. Let's have a look at a couple of different things here. Firstly, around the grounds, update from the MCG, Richmond 8.4.52, lead the Melbourne Demons at half-time there. I've just lost the score, 6-2-38, so it's a 14-point ball game there. This is the grid for this round of the GT3 series with thanks to Waste Options. Matty Dench and Holgerson, the front row. Matt Distill, Simon Cox, the second row. Richard Mitchum, Shane Clancy, the third row. Fourth row, Nick Wood, Thomas Martin. Fifth row, Glenn Arnott and Oscar Glissett. Sixth row will be John Wright and Daniel Birchall. Seventh row, Wayne Hewitt, David Johnson, Connor Nixon and Braden Sagasta. The eighth row, Chase McCubbin, Jake Jackson, and then Shane Bonici and Matt Stewart make up a very depleted field. Only 20 cars lining up for this round of the championship. It's somewhat disappointing that we've already had such a large drop-off. But then again, that might be a reflection of the circuit and Imola not being everybody's cup of tea. There might be some people tied up with early morning commitments and attending dawn services and other things around Australia, so they might already be in bed getting ready for the early start for Anzac Day tomorrow. Could be any one of a number of 10 or 15 different factors as to why we have a small field tonight. Now, on that note, let's have a look very quickly at the championship standings as we continue Waste Options Monday Night Motorsport. The car's moving off behind the safety car now. 1 hour the race distance here. Matty Dench on top of the championship, 69 points, 47 for Shane Clancy. Connor Nixon, 44, 43 for Glenn Arnott. And then Richard Mitchum on 41 points. Lamborghini, Mercedes, BMW, Porsche, and Audi all in the top 10 at the moment, with John Wright and Nick Wood down there 9th and 10th, and in between Wayne Hewitt, Jake Jackson and Thomas Martin. We're ready to rock and roll at the Imola circuit in Italy. It's Matty Dench and Alan Holgerson leading the field to green as we get set to rumble. 60 minutes ahead of us, the first of 4 60-minute races in the campaign. Let's go. The Lambo leads us to green. Dench takes off. And look at the start from Matt Distill as well. Straight up on the inside of Alan Holgerson, and job done. He gets the jump and gets the spot. And Holgerson hung out to dry, but he tucks into third. Under pressure from Simon Cox as they hit turn 1. Dench leads them through. Down the back straight for the first time. If we can fade that music too, please, Sam, that'd be great. It's just a little bit distracting at the moment. Thank you, mate. Matty Dench, Matt Distill, Alan Holgerson and Simon Cox, the top 4. Shane Clancy tucks into 5th. The field of 20 underway, and it's a logjam as they make their way through the Villeneuve section and then the hairpin for the first time, and then begin the climb up the hill. Plenty of altitude on this circuit. It's a good old fashioned Grand Prix track. A little bit of class and a little bit of character to it. Liam Banks, welcome back to you.
Absolutely. Hard to think of a track with more character than Imola, and so much racing history. Of course, the tragic death of Senna being at the forefront of most people's mind when they think of Imola, but plenty of other better memories as well from this track. And of course, it is chicane city through here. Chicanes everywhere you look, every straight's got 1 or 2 chicanes in it, and we saw the drivers going 2 by 2 through that first corner, the first chicane, and none of them coming unstuck, everybody making it through cleanly, which is a testament to the quality of the field that we have in the Pro Split. And of course, being the Pro Split, we would expect the quality to be very high standard, not much to pick between any of these drivers, and so far almost no gaps throughout the entire field. Such is how close these cars are as they come to the end of lap 1.
And it's a subject, or it's a case of quality over quantity tonight as we make our way back onto the main straight. Dench has taken off, half a second of the good. Distill, Holgerson, Cox, Clancy, the top 5. Richard Mitchum tucked into 6th. And we know Richard Mitchum's one of those fans of these European racetracks, so watch for Mitchum to bring his best to the table tonight.
I'd say I'm really keen to see Matt Distill versus Matty Dench at the front of the field. We didn't see Matt Distill in round 1, I don't believe, if my memory serves me correctly. So this is the first time we've seen this season how he matches up to Matty Dench, and look how close they are at the end of lap 1. I don't think Matty Dench is going to be able to do his normal thing of getting away from the rest of the field with Matt Distill there, although the two of them might break away from those behind them. Alan Hogerson almost a second behind. He'll need to arrest that slide before he drops out of the slipstream if he wants to keep up with the likes of Distill and Dench. As we just watch some moves a bit further down the field. Glenn Arnock looking to go up the inside, actually a bit too far back. The camera made it look like he was right alongside, but not to be. A bit too far back. He's currently sat in 13th place, looking to make the move on John Wright, who is just behind Daniel Birchnell, and they are on the fringes of the top 10. Oscar Glisser and Wayne Hewitt, the last two cars in the top 10, and they're becoming a bit detached from the rest of the top 10, a 1.4 second gap between Oscar Glissert and Nick Wood. So that looks like that's going to be potentially the story for the top 10. Is that battle pack starting with Glissert and finishing with Birchnell in 11th. Those three battling out hard as we see more battles at the front of the field. Matty Dench trying to stay ahead of Matt Distill. Matt Distill in the Mercedes. Matty Dench the lead Lamborghini with that distinctive yellow and black livery. Both cars running a yellow and black livery. Really nice to see Matty Dench going to have to work for it here. Matty Distill posts the fastest lap of the race. Of course, it's only lap 2, so that's the first full speed lap that we've had. But he has done a faster lap than Matty Dench with a little bit of help of the slipstream. And we'll just have to look at the body language of the cars through the chicanes. I believe, in general, the Lamborghini fancied more through the corners, but the straight line speed of the Merc really hard to beat around a track that has so many decent strengths.
It'll be interesting to see the tactics, the gamesmanship at play from Matty Dench here as well, Liam Banks, because you wouldn't put it past him. You wouldn't rule it out that he might just be luring Matt Distill into a false sense of hope here, into a false sense of security, and then all of a sudden, once we get through the 2 rounds of pit stops, you'll see that he has a 10 or 15 second unassailable lead. Dench is very good at playing the dummy in terms of playing, like fooling his opposition and just giving them that false sense of hope, and then just going about his business very quietly, very discreetly, and then all of a sudden winning by double digits in the seconds rather than the tenths. So it might only be a 0.3 of a second lead at the moment. Distill might have the fastest lap, but it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. And the longer Dench stays in the lead and drags the train along, the longer you'd expect Dench to remain the favourite here. But it could also be exactly what you were saying. The Merc could be stronger on this course, and that could offer the challenge up to Dench. And we saw last season that he was in the Audi. Didn't necessarily like all the circuits, didn't win all the races, but did what he needed to do to remain consistent. He still won the championship by a fairly decent margin in the end. And the Lambo, not dissimilar to the Audi. And we've heard these guys say on numerous occasions before, and we've made a point of it here in commentary on many occasions, that not every car is suited to every circuit we go to, and that's why we love our GT3 racing on a Monday night so much, because you get a great mixed bag throughout the course of the season. Matt is still the fastest number of the night thus far, 1:41.56.
Yeah, as you pointed out there, Matty Dench, an incredibly cerebral driver, always thinking about the fuel, always optimizing the entire race distance, doesn't let himself get lulled in to what's going on around him. I've seen him drop down the field deliberately just to save fuel, knowing that he was going to not make a pit stop, whereas everybody else around him was going to make a pit stop, and not getting dragged in. It's so easy in that position when you got cars around you that just going a few tenths faster to be like, I've got that pace, I can do that, I'll just use the fuel, I just won't lift and coast, I'll stick with them, because it feels horrible when you go backwards. Matty Dench, he can just put all that out of his head, doesn't worry. He's like, I'm hitting my lap times, I'm going to win this race, everybody else, what they are doing doesn't matter. If I do this, I will win. And that's the confidence that comes with the track record that he's got, and that's why he is the man to beat in pretty much every series that he competes in the GSRC. And we're just now watching that battle for at the back end of the top 10. And we pointed out before, we got on board with Daniel Birchnell here. Just watching him go around, he's trying to mount an attack on Wayne Hewitt, who is in that last spot in the top 10, in 10th place, of course. And then we've got Oscar Glisser, he's in 9th place and just ahead of Wayne Hewitt. Wayne Hewitt, if anything, looking like he's more likely to attack Glisser than he is to defend from Birchnell currently. And Hewitt working hard to get there because he's up 3 places, starting 30th. He's up 10th. He's the second biggest mover in the field at the moment. Matt Stewart, he's up 5 places, although that has been helped because Connor Nixon has made a pit stop and is a lap down. So it looks like he's come unstuck somewhere around this lap. And Jake Jackson is currently in the pits, and I think, looking at the pit time, won't be rejoining the circuit.
No. So Connor Nixon out of business early in the piece. He'll be disappointed about that after the run he had last week. And Jake Jackson, well, there's a chance for him to rejoin the race, but is there any point? I mean, he's already down half a lap. He's been on the tow rope. He'll get that fast repair. He'll get the chance to get back out there, but he's going to be playing catch up for the rest of the night. And only a highly unlikely safety car would see him have any opportunity or any possibility of getting back into any sort of contention. It'd be a case of making the best of a bad situation and out there making up the numbers. No one likes making up the numbers, as is evidenced by Connor Nixon's early departure. So 8 minutes gone, we're on lap 5. The racing lap time's around about that 1 minute 41.47 now for Matty Dench, the fastest number of the race so far. So again, on that notion, let's go 3 laps every 5 minutes. There are 12 5s in 60. There are 12 3s, so that would be 36. But we've got 2 pit stops to take into consideration, and not every lap is around that 100-second threshold. So I'd be willing to wager somewhere around that 35 lap marker tonight for this race, and that's a very rough guesstimate on my part. So let's see how close we are to the mark at the end of the hour. 35. I'll wager 35, because it is a very the thing that works against me there, Liam, is that unlike some of the other circuits we go to, that's a very long pit lane here. So do not be surprised if it becomes a 34 lap race rather than a 35. But yeah, it won't be 36. We know that it'll be 34 or 35.
Yeah, that sounds about right. We're coming to the end of lap 6, and we're about 10 minutes in. That's going to work out pretty much exactly, I think, by my maths, maybe a little bit over 10 minutes. So, you know, times that by 6, that means 36. Take off a lap for the amount behind they're going to be, and then you got the pit stop after that. So yeah, about 34 laps. I think you're bang on there.
And it may require a little bit of overtime as well, mate, because we know that if they get back to the line with about 3 seconds to go, Barney's more likely to wave the white flag at 59.57. So that could be that we get only to that lap 35 course of that overtime capability that iRacing offers up for us. So, yeah, a lot to consider here as we play on. 10 laps gone. We're almost at the start of lap 7. 10 minutes gone, almost at the start of lap 7. So 1/6 race distance here in every sense of the word at the Imola circuit. Dench across the line, 141.42 last time around, this time 141.93. So already we're seeing a little bit of pace come out of the top end of town as tyre wear starts to play its part. So that Hollywood number territory may have come and gone. And it'll be interesting to see as well how much of a role tyre wear plays tonight, and whether anyone gambles with a tyre or two as the race plays on. Lamborghini, Mercedes, Ferrari, BMW, all represented in the top 10 at the moment, so too Porsche. So again, you've got 5 different manufacturers in the top 10 at the moment. 3 Lambos, 2 Porsches, 3 Mercs, a BMW and a Ferrari.
Yeah, really evenly balanced at the moment in the GT3 as well. Looks of it on the evidence of what we've seen in the pro split so far this season. Just want to call out that battle we were following with the top 10. Oscar Glisser was at the head of that battle. He's actually upped his pace a little bit, and he's managed to catch Thomas Martin and Nick Wood ahead of him. So that's now become a 5-car battle. Nick Wood, Thomas Martin, Glisser, Hewitt and Birchnell all involved in that position. So that's 7th down to 11th spot. So he's done a really good job there to get himself the slipstream to help him defend, but also going on the attack only half a second behind Thomas Martin. So that's some good job from Gilles. Under pressure, he's actually managed to up his pace, respond to it, and leave himself a bit more comfortable, because it's better when you're in the middle of a pack, even if the gaps aren't any bigger, than when you're at the front of a pack and you've only got a car half a second behind you. That is a very stressful situation. At least when you've got a car to attack, it doesn't feel so defensive, and it feels a lot better to be in. So watching Matt Distill absolutely going with Matty Dench so far. The gap only half a second, and it's been pretty stable so far. And we're into lap 8, which makes me think that Matt Distill is perhaps not trying to really mount the attack here, just given how stable that gap is. I wonder if he is attempting to do the strategy game with Matty Dench and make sure that he isn't outdone by a Matty Dench strategy where he saves from a fall, because we know that's what he absolutely loves to do. And fair dues to Alan Holgerson as well. 2.5 seconds behind his guys, 1.5 seconds ahead of Simon Cox. Alan Holgerson is in 3rd place at the moment, having an incredibly strong drive. Not quite the pace of Distill and Dench up front, but only a couple of attempts off them. So he's right on the bubble of being in that battle, just a little bit out of it currently, but comfortably in 3rd place with Simon Cox behind him, who's trying to defend from Shane Clancy, and they are your top 5 as we are halfway through lap 8 of this race.
We certainly are, and Dench and Distill still keeping Dench on us, which is really good to see. 2.6 then back to Holgerson, who's gapped Cox, who's under pressure from Clancy. This is a good little battle between John Wright in 12th place, and Glenn Arndt and Braden Sagassa behind him. Also a good battle developing between Nick Wood, Thomas Martin, Oscar Glissett, Wayne Hewitt and Daniel Birchnell as well. Monday night motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. We're down to 18. They're all still on the lead lap. And Shane Benici, the last of the runners at the moment, there in 18th place. Biggest mover of the night thus far. Matt Stewart up 5 spots and Wayne Hewitt up 3. Glenn Arnott down 4 is the biggest loser of the night so far in the game loss department. It's 13.5 minutes gone. It's lap 9 now as Matty Dench crosses the line to complete lap number 8. 1:41.7 seems to be the running tempo at the moment. The lap pace, both in tyre and car and circuit. Beautiful conditions. Late afternoon. Not a cloud in the sky. Great to have you along for the ride as we do it Italian style from Monday night. Where's your pizza and pasta when you need it? And just still within 0.4 of a second of Dench at the moment. A little bit of dust being kicked up there by Braden Sagassa as well. John Wright, Glenn Arnott keeping him company. There's Dench leading, just still going with him, and in not as emphatic style, but certainly in as comfortable a way. These guys are clearing out and slowly but surely ensuring that this could well be a 2-horse race, much like what we saw in GT4. But the difference with GT4 is the margin ballooned so very quickly, whereas this one's just building in increments.
Yeah, it's just little, quarter of a second each lap, 2 attempts, quarter of a second. They just keep gapping Alan Holgerson in 3rd. They're not on another postcode like we saw in the GT4, but they are they're on another street, aren't they? They're just that inch ahead, just that inch of class that separates the very, very best, the aliens, from the guys that would win most of the official races that they compete in. These guys will be some of the fastest guys in iRacing. That's how good they are, and that's why they keep winning everything, especially Matty Dench, Team PGZ. The team that he represents also taking out the Endurance Championship last season, not competing this season, which is a shame, but you can see the rest of the cars competing on Sunday at the Red Bull Ring, 6 hours. Myself and Seb Chapman will be bringing you that broadcast, and it'll be great fun because the first 2 races have been absolute crackers. I'm still watching Wayne Hewitt. He's side by side with Gleiser. This is for 9th and 10th place. He's got the inside. He's going to get that move done. That's a really nice move. Absolutely textbook. Getting it on the inside, into the chicane. Not carrying too much speed, but carrying enough that to make sure that Gleiser wasn't going to be able to hold it around the outside, and he's absolutely solidified that position. And now Gleiser is only 3 tenths of a second ahead of Birchnell, so he's going to have to be careful that he doesn't lose 2 spots here when he tries to make a move and get back the spot that he has lost to Hewitt.
So the freight train continues up around the back of the circuit once more. Matt Distill's just punched out the best number of the night, 1:41.32. So all of a sudden, there's more pace in the circuit. and it's still red hot at the front. They haven't got to that sub 141 marker yet, but they've crept back in that direction by 0.4 of a second based on the pace that we saw a lap ago. We're on lap 10. We're slowly but surely edging towards the end of lap 10. We've got Wayne Hewitt there in 9th place on screen at the moment. Oscar Glissett, Daniel Birchnell, and also as well, boys, important to note that we are now in the fuel window where if you want to mix up your strategy play a little bit, you can stop here, stop again, and get home. There shouldn't be anything in the way of one stoppers tonight. But yes, we're past that critical lap number where you can do the reverse of what we expect everyone to do, which is run it dry, and then do a short, sharp sprint to the finish. No one's taken up the bait on the pit stop thus far. We're on lap 11, 17.25 minutes gone. Added inch by half a second to Matt Distill. 141.59 and 141.53 respectively last time round. Holgerson, Cox and Clancy make up the top 5. Cox, Clancy, Martin, Stewart, both punching out their best numbers, or all of them, sorry, the 4 of them punching out their best numbers of the night thus far.
Watching Richard Mitchum here, he's in 6th place, looking to chase down Clancy, who's in 5th place, and stay ahead of Nick Wood. He's actually got a nice buffer there. We're now on board with Nick Wood. He's got Martin right behind him, gap below half a second. He'll be looking to make a move if he can. Not going to be close enough here, even with even being only half a second behind. That's not close enough, not on a GT3 car. It's not like an F1 car where anything below a second means you're going for a move. In the GT3 car, unless you're within 1/4 of a second, it's not happening. Kalisa here, we saw him lose 9th place to Hewitt a couple of laps ago, sticking with Hewitt though. Definitely not a big difference in pace, just maybe a bit of racecraft helping Hewitt get through. And in fact, I think Hewitt looks like he's closing down the gap to Thomas Martin a little bit, only 2.6 seconds. I believe that was bigger. Looking at the last lap times, maybe not. Glasser actually not getting a good exit here. He's got Birchnell right over the back of him. Let's see if Birchnell goes for a move down into the chicane. Not the chicane. Well, I said chicane because it's usually a pretty safe bet around Imola, but it's not. It's this tricky double left-hander where you really need to get as wide as you can at the exit of the first left-hander to open up the second left-hander. But if you go too wide, you're getting a slowdown, or you're going to go off track as much. Birchnell and Arnett both dive into the pit lane.
So there are the first two taking the bait and pulling the trigger on pit stops tonight. But again, they're at the end of that 11-lap marker. We don't expect the race to run 36 laps. We're gambling on 34, 35. We're hedging our bets that it'll fall either side of that, either on the lower or the higher, 34 or 35. So an 11-lap run, a 12-lap stint, and then you've got guys like Dench stretching it out to 12 laps. Who knows? There might be a 13-lap stint in it as well. We'll get an indication of that after this lap and see how many drivers venture down pit road this time round. Glenn Arnott, Daniel Birchnell only now getting back out on the racetrack at about 2/3 of the way through the lap for the race leaders. So that gives you an indication as to how long the pit lane transit is here at the Imola circuit as well. 19 minutes 50 gone, so we're at 1/3 race distance. So again, we're not quite at the end of the fuel window, so we could see Dench and Distill go a couple of laps longer here, but we are at 1/3 race distance, so 20 and 40, that's a safe bet. You can fuel up there and still get home. Let's see if Dench dives to pit road this time by. No, he does not, so we're going on to lap 13 before we even entertain the thought of venturing down pit road for the two leaders who have put 4.6 seconds on Alan Holgerson. Dench punches out the fastest lap of the night on lap 11, 141.04. So we're almost there as well. So all of a sudden, I made the point about, the pace might fall out of this. But, not just yet. So, Tyler, we're not playing as big a role as we thought it might.
And it's a lap time that Matt Distill so far looks like he's unable to match. That gap has doubled in size. It was half a second. It's now a clear second. You can see there's clear daylight between them on track. Whereas before it looked like Matt Distill might be in a position to make a move if he got a better exit at one of the corners. Matty Dench a 1/4 of a second faster on the last lap, getting into the 1:41s dead. Be interested to see if he can break into the 1:40s before the end of the stint. And I wonder if that is a product of a deliberate change in aggression, realizing that he's good for fuel, he's hitting his targets and can spend a little, or if that's just just as he's getting into the race, getting a bit quicker, as most drivers tend to do. They tend to, learn the track conditions better, just push it a little bit harder in some of the corners compared to the conditions in practice, and just generally get a little bit faster, and they're still not able to go with him. We'll have to wait a couple more laps to see if that is a pattern that continues, but so far on this lap, he's definitely pulled that gap out a bit further.
Yeah, 1.2 seconds now, the margin that Dench enjoys over to still at the front end of town. So all of a sudden, the Lamborghini just flexing its muscle and stretching its legs a little bit more. On to lap 14 will go before they even entertain the idea of a pit stop. And that means Holgersen takes the bait and comes in at the end of lap 13. So anyone that can stretch the tank to 14 laps, all of a sudden their critical number is going to be lap 21. That'll be the earliest. Yeah, look at the traffic coming into pit lane now. Dench to still get to 14. Everybody else, with the exception of Wayne Hewitt, coming into pit lane right now. So that's Holgersen, Cox, Clancy, Mitchum, Wood, Martin, Glissett, Wright, Sagassa, and Stewart all into pit lane at the end of lap 13. So based on those numbers, your critical number, if we're going 35 laps, is going to be lap 22. Okay, that's the earliest in which you can fuel up and run the tank empty, run the tank dry, and get home. So watch for a little bit of mixed strategy play in that second, third stint.
Be interesting to see if any of the drivers here decide to short fuel it a little bit so they can get track position as they leave pit lane. In particular, I'm looking at Wayne Hewitt. He's going to have a little bit of time to react, see what the gap is to the cars behind him who have all pitted at least a lap earlier, and perhaps react with what he does in the field, because we saw he's got pace. He was already up a few positions, I think 4 or 5 positions from his start position, which leads me to believe that he qualified a little bit out of position for his pace. So he may be somebody that looks to short fuel and actually try and gain position, see if he can get himself a bit of clean air. Let's see if going a lap longer and doing that helps him get ahead of any of these cars. I believe the gap to the next car before he pitted was about 2 seconds, so it's going to have to be a hell of a jump if he does it. We're watching John right here. He has got Brady and Sagassa right behind him. Sagassa basically pushing him into the chicane and going wide onto the gravel, keeping it straight. Did all the right things to make sure he didn't spin it, just losing a bit of time there. It's so easy to do that chicane. You want to carry as much speed as you can, and now we watch Dench and Distill come into the pits on the same lap.
There we go. So they're going punch for punch with strategy play. Monkey see, monkey do. And it's Dench and Distill. And what will Denchy do here? Will he go for the undercut? Will he go for the short fuel and the short second stint and the long run home? What will Distill do? What point of difference is there going to be in this strategy play? Hewitt also into the lane now. Dench and Distill still stationary. They're going very similar here. Dench goes out at 16. Distill stays stationary a couple of seconds longer. Takes a longer load of fuel, does Matt Distill. And Dench is going to have a very comfortable lead now as he returns to the racetrack. But let's see. Let's see what Distill has in the tank as far as extra fuel is concerned, and how much of an invoice Dench has to pay on that at the end of the second stint.
It's looking at the pit timings. There's a lot of drivers around that 18-19 second mark, which is the amount of the stationary time of Matt Distill. So that leads me to think that that 18-19 second mark is a full tank of fuel, and that Matty Dench has short fueled a little bit. He was 2.5 seconds faster, almost 3 seconds faster out of pit lane, 3 seconds less time stationary. So that's 3 seconds less fuel that he's got. So I think you're right. I think he might be going for a shorter stint. That leads me to leave with 18 seconds as a full tank, and a full tank is about 14 laps. He's gone 16 seconds, so that's what 8/9 of that, so 8/9 of 14. It's going to be about 12 laps, so look for him to be in around that critical, a bit after that critical lap, maybe around lap 25, I would say, 26, before he goes to the end, unless of course he decides to pit before he needs to not run the tank dry. We'll have to wait and see. That's the beauty of having an hour-long race. We can see all these little storylines, all these mini things that obscure the picture becoming clearer as the race unfolds.
No, this is probably our favourite of the 3 formats that we have in GT3. But the sprint racing is great for that rip, tear, rush, bust sort of concept. The Enduros are great for the marquee parts of the season. But these 60-minute races, the drama, as much as we love it at the outset, usually comes in the final quarter of the race, the final sixth of the race even. That last 10 minutes, as fatigue kicks in, as strategy plays its part, as everything else falls into place. And again, we're expecting that to unfold here tonight. Across the line we go. That's Shane Clancy in 4th place at the moment. Wayne Hewitt's dropped back down to 11th place after his pit stop.
Yeah,
Wasn't that far behind Dench and Distill either. So some interesting fuel times there. Everyone between about 15 and 18 seconds, give or take.
Yeah, interesting. Wayne Hewitt, we called him out as being in that battle pack for from 8th down to about 11th position. He's actually moving up the battle pack. He was in 9th before the pit stops, came out in 11th, but looking at the pit times, the pit delta between him and Arnott and Birchnell, both short fueled compared to Hewitt. So Arnott was stationary 15.6 seconds. He's shortest fueled out of everybody in the race. Daniel Birchnell only Glenn Arnott 16.4 seconds, Birchnell 15.67, Wayne Hewitt 19.33, one of the longest stops. So I think not only did he fuel all the way, I think he may have gone a little bit longer in the stops, and that's contributed to a slightly longer pit, which has meant he's come out 2 positions down from where he was, if my memory is correct. But again, they're going to have to pay that back. Arnott and Birchnell, so it'll be interesting to see if Hewitt moves himself back up, and with the pace he's had, I wonder if he can catch them before the pit stops even eventuate.
Down to the left-hander we go at the end of the back straight. The end of the lap is near, and we're watching Shane Clancy at the moment follow with Simon Cox in behind. Reason for the short delay at my end, just an inopportune moment to clear the throat as we make our way on to the start of lap 17 for these guys. Reach the leader, 6.5 to Matt Distill. So things have slowly but surely spread out. There isn't much in the way of battle packs around the traps here. Just this battle, Shane Clancy, Simon Cox, and also Wayne Hewitt, Oscar Glissett for 11th. There they are. And Braden Sagassa and John Wright in behind them. 13th and 14th, and that's who we've picked up right now. Matt Stewart, David Johnson down behind them, then Chase McCalvin and Shane Benici. So 18 still running on the racetrack. Still all on the lead lap. 3/4 of a lap, the difference between Dench and Bacchini at the moment. But we've only not seen any unscheduled pit stops yet. Everybody's come in. 1 round of pit stops in the race thus far. So no one's got an extra invoice to pay by way of damage, by way of penalties or anything of the like. So that's really good to see that it's been for these guys that are still in the race, the 18 of them, and it's been a nice clean run thus far.
Really important to point out at this point that battle between Dench and Distill is being won by Matty Dench. His last lap was a 141.2, Distill's a 141.6. Of course, we suspect there is a difference in fuel load, which would mean that Dench will be able to do slightly faster times than Distill. But even so, almost half a second, if that continues throughout the stint, you've got to think that that's going to be enough for Dench to hold on to the lead, even once the fuel strategies play out. So that'll be interesting to see. Now that Distill is in clean air, hasn't got the benefit of the tow, can he up his speed just a little bit and match Matty Dench out front? Matty Dench doing the fastest lap of the race, a 1:41, and this man means business.
1:41 dead, 1:41 neat for Matty Dench. Have a look at that. The man's on a mission. He's extended the lead out to 7 seconds now, and this is exactly what I said, isn't it? How quickly it goes from being 2-3 seconds manageable, 2/3 of a second in Matt Distill's case. That glimmer of hope, and how quickly it dissolves in the blink of an eye. And Dench is now almost unassailable, 7 seconds up the road. And it doesn't matter what sort of invoice he's got to pay at the end of this, because his pit stop was 2.8 seconds quicker than Matty Distill's. So he's balanced that out. He squared the ledger there. He's still got 4.4 seconds up his sleeve at his disposal to play with. The man is on a mission to take his 3rd win of the season.
I do wonder if the short fueling was deliberately to get Matt Distill out of his slipstream. Maybe betting on the fact that Distill would fill the tank fully, and that he'd be able to break away and stop him getting that slipstream, which is just happening at his pace just a little bit.
Wouldn't put it past him. He's very tactically minded, is Matty Dench with his racecraft, and he'd be fully aware of Distill gaining an advantage and benefiting from the tow. So anything to try and upset that and offset it, Dench has taken it with open arms. Very nice to see. Sam Chapman producing the broadcast for us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And we mentioned maths earlier in the piece. That's mathematics, by the way, not the reality TV garbage. But we mentioned mathematics at the top of the show. And the Zaculator. Well, the Zaculator was punching some numbers about 10 minutes before we came in here. We are now 13 seasons into our life as a club. Matty Dench, the fastest number of the night. 1 minute 40.93, ladies and gentlemen. We're sub 141 for the first time tonight at the start of lap 19. The guy's just in uncharted territory. It's just he is not human in the sim racing world at the moment. The guy is just superhuman. It is just a completely different postcode, completely different league to most of the club that we are witnessing here. And it's an ongoing storyline with Matty Dench. Every week we just marvel in the brilliance of the man. But yeah, in 13 seasons, we've had a lot of great people produce our broadcast and present the coverage for you. And this is the first time that I've had Sam Chapman producing the broadcast when I've been involved. And I worked it out, Liam, that in 13 seasons, I've been involved in all 13 from a commentary standpoint. I think I'm the only commentator apart from Nick Fodiatis that is that can hold claim to that. But I've had 8 different producers in that time. Hello to Angus Cook, who's enjoying his European adventure. Hello to our old mate, the Spirit of Tasmania, Chris Kisby. JP and Robert Hazeldine, who were involved back in 2021 and 2020, respectively. Thanks also to Grant Gilles, to Jared Daly, and Adam Lavis, of course, is here in the booth with us tonight. He would normally be producing the broadcast for us, but circumstances beyond his control prevented him from doing so. And Sam Chapman, of course, coming to the rescue. So how's that? 8 different producers. It's almost as many prime ministers as we've had in the last decade here in Australia. Just a couple more. But it's great to see that 13 seasons on, we've still got many people willing to give up their time to ensure that we get to do what we love. These guys get to reap the benefit of having a broadcast and being able to showcase what they do to their friends and family. And we've still got people like friends and family and audiences beyond that, including our mate Antonio over there in the United States. Haven't heard from him yet tonight. That continue to tune in and enjoy what we do. So well done to all involved, because as has been proven over many years in our or many seasons in our involvement with the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, many hands continue to make light work. Everyone plays their part. It's good to see. Matty Dench, Matt Distill, Alan Holgerson, Shane Clancy and Simon Cox, the top 5 at the moment. We picked up the battle between Thomas Martin and Glenn Arnott for 8th place, and Daniel Birchnell not too far away in the striking distance either. That's one of, I'm going to say, 4 active battles on the racetrack at the moment. Braden Scass is out there with on the tail of David Johnson right now. Simon Cox is all over the back of Shane Clancy. This is what happened to Sagassa. Down towards Villeneuve. Grass, gravel, see ya. Solid hit, solid crunch. Now he's got to nurse the car and get it to that second round of pit stops. And there will be a little bit of damage on that, I would imagine. Braden Sagassa, and this is over the top of the circuit as it comes undone a second time. Oh, the steering, geez. The car just snapped and flung him left and right. I wasn't quite sure what it wanted to do. There's Thomas Martin still in 8th place, holding off Glenn Arnott. Not anymore! Contact at the chicane! Martin ran wide. Arnott looked to capitalise. Martin bounces off the ripple strips and straight into him. Sagassa is now on pit road as well, so he's got an extra invoice to pay for the rest of the night. The first sign of any sort of action tonight at the Imola circuit, and it involves Thomas Martin in 9th place, and now Glenn Arnott down outside the top 10 in 13th. We've gone from having 4 active battles on the racetrack to 3. And that is not how you wanted to see Glenn Arnott drop out of contention, drop out of the top 10, and so unlucky. He was an innocent bystander and all that. That was all a consequence of Martin's mistake going into the chicane in the first place. And those ripple strips, they bite hard, they bounce you, they throw you. and it threw him straight into Glenn Arnott. Here is again, Lee.
Yeah, just look here, Glenn Arnott, same behind him, not going for the move. Thomas Martin outbrakes himself, goes over the ripple strips, bounces a bit too much, unable to control the car, and just goes into Glenn Arnott. Really unlucky for Glenn Arnott, did nothing wrong. Innocent bystander. You do want a Thomas Martin, would it have been cleverer just to bail out, cut the chicane, get back on track safely, give up the position, because once you go over to those rumble strips, you can't do anything, but it's hard. If you haven't gone over them, if he hasn't gone over them in practice, he wouldn't have known how much they affect the car. So it's hard to know. If he's done it before, you think you have the presence of mind, hopefully, to avoid it, go over the track once he's gone deep. Well, if he hasn't hit him before, I can understand why you'd go over him and not realise how much it's going to affect the car. So it'd be interesting to see, A, what Thomas Martin thinks of that, and B, what the stewards think of that. But certainly,
that's exactly right.
Who's in the wrong.
Yeah. The stewards will have the final say in that one, I would imagine. I mean, benefit of the doubt, because Martin wouldn't have been expecting the ripple strips to throw him like that. But at the same time, you've then impeded another competitor and cost him far more than you've cost yourself. So yes, sure, Martin lost a position. Daniel Birchall gained 2 for the price of 1. But poor old Glenn Arnott's lost 4 spots in all of that. 1 minute 40.91. Dench punches out yet another 1 minute 40.9 and lowers the bar again as far as the fastest number of the night is concerned. Braden Sagasta is still on pit lane at the end of lap 20 and has been for 2 minutes and 5 seconds now. So that just about rubs him out of contention tonight. We're down to 17 in the fight here. Matty Dench leads the margin 10 seconds. Shane Clancy wide on the exit of the chicane at the back of the circuit and gives up the spot. Down the inside goes Simon Cox to 4th.
Yeah,
and that all because Clancy probably copped a little bit of a slowdown as a result of that, I'd imagine.
Absolutely. Short saw the back end of that Mercedes, shaking it like Shakira and setting him wide over the curb. Probably got a little bit of a slowdown. If not slowdown, then he just thought the sporting thing to do would be to let Simon Cox pass, as he had gone wide, and there was no way he was holding that position without going wide and off the track. Important to note here, Matt Distill had a slow lap last lap, had a very mortal looking lap, 142.9, which is a second slower than Holgerson and Cox behind him, but this lap he's put it to rights at 140.9, so just a mistake, and he's joined Matty Dench in that sub 1 minute 41 section, but that mistake would have cost him 2 seconds on the lap before to Matty Dench, and I think that really does put any pace to that battle, unless something happens with the fuel or something dramatic happens with Matty Dench up front. We did see for a moment on the screen, we had a something saying the instance that have occurred recently. We did see Matty Dench going off track, so he needs to be careful. If he does that a few too many times, you could see those 1Xs start to add up, because they do add up around here with those chicanes. You want to cut them as much as you can, but cut them too much and you will get a slowdown, and you will start racking up 1Xs, and if you get too many 1Xs, you will get a penalty at the end of the race. So that's one thing to be careful of. I can't imagine Dench will hit that somehow. He's far too cerebral for that, far too clever, but it is something to watch out for, particularly for some of the other drivers. Using as much of the track as they can, and perhaps paying the penalty if they don't. Keep an eye on that throughout the race.
Matty Dench, Matt Distill now in the 1 minute 40.9s as well. Dench to the 1 minute 40.86 bracket, if you don't mind, last time round. The end of lap 23. 2/3 race distance. We start lap 24. My best guess is we're 12 laps from home, so we're confident now. 1 minute 40.83. Dench lowers the bar again. I'm fairly confident now with that number of 35, because there's one pit stop to go. We know that there's a fair degree of overlay or overlap with regards to where that critical number is to when the last lap flag can fly and will fly. So we'll be in the final minute of play when that does fly after the second round of pit stops, which means a little bit of overtime, but we will get the job done. We'll go to 35 laps tonight. 36 was just a bridge too far. 34 was a possibility if we didn't have the scope for overtime, but we do get to go overtime thanks to it being a rule of thumb most times, more times than not, that the white flag will fly just before that 60-minute threshold, and it is the first time past the post after time has elapsed that the flag waves. There have been a couple of times where we've been caught out and we've been sold a second or two short, and we've asked for reimbursement on that and come up short. But Matty Dench will get us to 35 laps tonight. Now, what's critical here is, considering that he got 14 laps out of the first stint, how far does he want to run this second stint? Because he's in the window. He can come in now at any point and fuel up and get through to the checkered flag by virtue of the fact that with that lap completed there, number 24, we've only got 11 to go by my numbers. And 1 minute 40.47. Geez, he's just punching out qualifying numbers for fun now. Matty Dench just putting a number on the on the field, on the entire field, yet again. The guy is just top shelf in this caper. This will be win number 3 of the season, provided that he gets to the checkered flag. Distill, Holgerson, Cox, Mitchum, Wood, Clancy and Birchnell coming to pit lane this time around. So does Thomas Martin. So 3 guys in pit lane at this moment to get their final drops of fuel to get them through to the checkered flag.
What we're seeing there is evidence that Matty Dench was fuel saving on that first stint. That's how I would read this. Matt still obviously had the slipstream behind him, not saving a bit of fuel by default, just being behind Matty Dench. And I wonder if Matty Dench was having to do a little bit more fuel saving in the first stint because of that. And that's why the lap times were so similar, and why the lap times in the second stint so much quicker now, over half a second quicker than anything that Matty Dench did in the first stint. And we saw in the first stint he only got under the 1 minute 41s once, or maybe not even. I think he just got to 1 minute 41 dead in the first stint. But in the second stint, he's done his 4th or 5th lap under 1 minute 41, 1 minute 40, 1 minute 40, 1 minute 40, and each lap faster than the last. That tells me that this stint, he's not doing nearly as much fuel saving, and he is absolutely gunning it. And Matt is still not able to go with him. Matt is still showing the same pace that he had in the first stint, whereas Matty Dench has hit another gear, and now he's pulled into pit lane, so that's pretty early. He's going to fill up the tank all the way to the top, and he's going to run it to the end from here.
So Dench comes in at the end of an 11-lap stint, and that would leave him with 10 to get to the checkered flag. And that's the thing, because it's essentially a 2.5 stint race, 14, 14, and 7. And so you can break that second and third stint up any way you like. It can be 14 and 7, 13 and 8, 12 and 9, 11 and 10, 10 and 11, etc. and so forth. You know where I'm going with that. Denchy's gone for 11 and 10, and look at this, a little bit of an overlap on the pit exit here, as well as Shane Benici is going to get out just ahead of Dench, but he'll automatically be seeing blue flags waved in his general direction, because he is going to go a lap down here on Matty Dench. He'll be the first of the remaining cars running in the race to do so. And very shortly, the rest of the field will balance itself out here. We're still waiting for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cars to come in and pit to cleanse the field. We're down to 17 with Braden Sagassa now, the latest retirement out of business. Remember that 75% of 35 is 27. 27 laps is the threshold for whether you get classified or not. Braden's now 5 laps down and very quickly dropping out of the realm of being able to be classified and score points tonight. Matt Distill's leading this race at the moment, but he, Holgerson, Cox, Mitchum and Wood still have a pit stop to conduct. Matty Dench sitting 6th is the current leader on corrected order as they make their way through the final sector of this 26th lap, and the rest of the field starts lap 27. Distill continues on to 27. Holgerson, Cox and Mitchum come to pit lane.
Interesting to see all 3 of them starting to pit on the same lap. We've got to think they could have ran a little bit further. I imagine all of them having similar pit to stop time in the first stint. So just all of them wanted to do the same thing, not to go on their own. Perhaps none of them having the confidence that they are actually faster than the cars ahead. Alan Holgerson was leading that crew. So I wonder if they decided, actually, I want to keep the slipstream, I'll stay behind him and make sure that this battle continues, rather than risk doing an alternate strategy and falling out of touch by a second or two, which would be enough to put you out of the slipstream and perhaps just put the driver ahead just out of reach. Alan Holgerson, he's going to rejoin the field in 4th Simon Cox fifth. So all these cars looking like they're going to rejoin the field in the positions in which they pitted, which is interesting. And Wayne Hewitt again going long. We saw he went a bit further in the first stint, and he's going a bit further in the second stint as well. So he's looking to get as many laps out of the way as he can, I imagine, before he takes his third final stop. And we'll have to see whether that works for him and helps him jump some of those cars that he was battling. We're seeing David Johnson come out of the pits. And one of the cars that we're seeing move up the field in all this is Shane Clancy. So he was down in the 11th or 12th place a couple of laps ago because he had pitted. He'd pitted earlier in this bunch, pitting on lap 24. So he joined the likes of Thomas Martin, Matt Stewart, Shane Benici, and of course the ever fast Matty Dench in pitting a little bit early. I'm going to have to see whether that works out for them.
Now, three-quarter time at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. 13.5 minutes to go here. We should still be on air in the post-race show, provided we get enough participation from competitors to bring the full-time score in the AFL. But the three-quarter time score at the moment, as it's 10-7, 67-9, 5-59 in favour of Richmond. But make that, if you don't mind, 10-7, 67 to 10-5. 65 with Melbourne slotting one on the stroke of three-quarter time on the siren there. So all to play for at the MCG in Monday Night Football. Wayne Hewitt comes to pit lane to conduct his second pit stop. Matt Distill continues on to the 14th lap of his second stint, so he's on the short run home, and we expect him on pit road this time by, at which point the field will be cleansed. Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms, the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, and Matty Dench looking good for 3 from 3, given that he did the double in Detroit last week in what was a clinical display. Off track goes Shane Clancy, rejoins, no damage done. Wayne Hewitt drops out behind Daniel Birchnell at the completion of his second stop. Just a couple of wheels kissing the dirt here, I'm going to assume. Yeah, there it is, on the exit of turn 2, and again, how savage is that ripple strip on the inside at turn 2 there. It caught out Thomas Martin earlier in the piece. Now it's caught out Wayne Hewitt. So, Shane Clancy. So here's Matt Distill coming in at the end of lap 28. 28 gone, 7 to go. It's Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Matt Dench will come back across the line. There will be 11.5 minutes on the clock or thereabouts as he crosses the line to start lap 29, and that'll get us. That will be a 7-lap run to the checkered flag. 6 to the 10-minute mark, and then there's Matty Dench going across the line. 11.5 to go. There's roughly going to be 10, 15, maybe 20 seconds, no more of overtime in this one tonight. We are right on the cusp of doing this 35 laps, bang within the hour. As I say, it's only going to be a very small dose of overtime tonight. Dench started lap 29. There was 11.5 on the clock. We said 6 laps in 10 minutes. 11:40 would give you the 7, so that gives you an indication as to how minimal the overtime is going to be in this instance. Matty Dench already halfway through lap 29. A lead now of 8.4 seconds over Matt. Still game, set, match, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, linesman. Thank you, ball boys. I think that's all she wrote on this one. The interest will be in that battle for 6th, though, Liam, between Shane Clancy and Nick Wood.
Yeah, really tight battle, only quarter of a second between the two drivers there. Another battle that's raging on at the moment is for 14th place between Stewart and Johnson. And they're your two main battles on track. They're the only drivers within a second of each other on track. Nick Wood, just really putting the pressure on St. Clancy. And we're just watching now David Johnson. He's looking to go up the inside at the first corner. Not going to be able to do it, so he actually tucks in behind. He's going to look to get a better run. He's not going to be able to do it. Beautiful run there by Matt Stewart. He took that corner absolutely beautifully. And just gave Dave Johnson nothing to try and exploit to get past. He'll stick behind him, and the next big opportunity will be the double left-hander, you would imagine, unless I'm getting my my track wrong. Imola, not one of the tracks that I know the best. They've gone through the hairpin. They'll come up here. So this is a really difficult corner. It's hard to explain just how blind this is when you're actually in the car. You come over that crest. And all straight away you're on the brakes, and if you're not careful, you're actually on the brakes before you finish turning the corner before. You have to remember that. which unsettles the car. You have to remember that it's there, get over it, get over to the right hand side as quick as possible, get it on the brakes, so you're braking downhill, so your braking zone is a lot longer than you think it would be for the pace that you go through that corner, and you have to take it a little bit slower than you would think it would be, just because it's downhill and it's trying to push you off the track, and then you're staying as wide as you can to open up the second part of that corner. They're now coming past the start-finish straight, and you're going to see him here definitely trying to launch me with the inside, I imagine.
Well, he's playing the patient game. He's happy to sit in and tuck in behind and follow for the moment. But for how long? For how long is Nick Wood going to be patient here? Will the patience run out? If it was me, it would have already run out, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
so he's got more patience than me. Exactly. Mine's virtually gone to non-existent. Now, down the... No. Defensive work from Clancy to defend Wood to the hairpin. Slow on the exit, and he gets a little bit of a tap for his trouble. But in saying that, the tactics there from Clancy prevented Wood the opportunity to perform the up and under on the run up the hill. So he tucks in and follows through once more. The Bimmer, slowly but surely, getting a little bit agitated here following the Merc through. Now they're side by side. Now Clancy tucks back in front. Wood's there within striking distance. A matter of if, not when. He will. It's a matter of when, not if. He will make this move. But Clancy's going to have to play a defensive game if he wants to keep him at bay, and he's going to have to try and do it for another 5 laps after the one they're on now. So 5 laps to go as Dench starts lap 31. Braden Sagasa is still in pit lane. He's out of business. He's out of contention. He won't be classified tonight. Matt Distill's second, 9.5 seconds to is the deficit between Dench and Distill. Holgerson's another 12 seconds back. We are watching a cracking scrap for 6th place. We always get 1 or 2 cracking scraps in the tail stages of a GT3 60-minute outing. This is going to be the one that whets the appetite and holds the imagination and attention for the next 8.5 minutes here, or 7.5 minutes as they cross the line once more. And Nick Wood is right there, but Clancy doing it his very level best to keep Wood at bay just a little bit longer. You've got the Mercedes up against the Bimmer, and it could go either way.
Yeah, the thing that's acting in Shane Clancy's favour is he can hold him up. Doesn't matter. The next car is 8 seconds behind. That's Daniel Birchnell in 8th place. So he can do things like go slow out of a corner, park it on the apex like we saw him do last lap. Really make life horrible for the car behind, because it doesn't matter how slow they go. The next car is not going to catch them with only 7 minutes remaining, regardless of how slow these guys go. Unless unless they really drop like 2-3 seconds a lap, they're gonna be fine. So he can do whatever he wants to defend this, and it looks like he is going to do his damn best to defend this until the end of the race. I just want to call out Simon Cox did a really good lap time to do a 1 minute 41.1, almost joining Dench and Distill in the 1 minute 40s, and I thought that was worth calling out.
So 1 minute 40.47 remains the best number of the night for Matty Dench, half a second clear of anyone else on the racetrack. Matt Distill 1 minute 40.95, and as you said, Liam, 1 minute 41.1 for Simon Cox, the best of anybody else. No one within an earshot of Dench and Distill's outright 1 lap pace right now. We've got 17 cars still running. We've got 16 of them on the lead lap. Chase McCubbin, the last of those on the lead lap, in 16th place. We've got Nick Wood still hounding, harassing Shane Clancy here, and almost on the verge of SNFing him as he goes across the line. 4 laps to go at the end of the circuit. Now, he's in a position here, but again, defensive on the inside from Clancy. Wood to the outside at 1. Oh, it's close. Oh, no, Wood's come unstuck. Wood has come unstuck. The pressure was too much. He ran out of patience. He got a little bit too happy with the right foot pedal, and he's brought himself undone, and he's dropped down to 9th spot. Was there contact? Did he bring himself undone by making a little bit of front to rear contact on the car in front of Shane Clancy, or was it all driver error? We'll find out in a moment when we have a look at the replay. Oh, unfortunately, that battle ends somewhat abruptly and prematurely. This is how it happened. Yep. Slightest bit of touch.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Just misjudged that, hasn't he? Trying to get back up underneath him. Just taps him, and really unlucky to have such a drastic result at the end of that. Such a minor touch.
The idea was right. The execution was where he slipped.
It was, and you saw the frustration because on the you could see it on the start-finish straight. He got a better run out the final corner. He was catching it, but even with the slipstream, it wasn't enough to drag that Mercedes in front of him. I do wonder whether that's a difference in the top speeds between the Mercedes and the BMW, or perhaps in the setup, the BMW perhaps of Nick Wood running a little bit more downforce, and that's why we're seeing him all over him in the corners, but not able to get him on the straights. And you can see how frustrating it is when you've got a car that just cannot match it on the straights. It's so frustrating because you can't race. We've seen it in F1 more times. You see it in the MotoGP when anybody tries to battle the Ducatis, they just can't quite do it because of that straight line speed. And we just saw it between the Merc and the Ferrari ahead of the BMW and the Mercedes in front of him. The Mercedes just with a bit more top speed, able to defend. And yeah, in the end, that was Nick Wood's undoing, just trying a little bit too hard. And you know, he had to go for it. What was the other option? Not to go for the up and under. He made the right decision, just like you said. The execution off by millimeters, and he was punished for it by losing an additional spot to Wayne Hewitt, who came out did the alternate strategy to the battle pack he was facing, and came out ahead of the likes of Glisser, Wright, Martin, Arnott, who were all in that battle, and he's really done well there. He's fallen behind Birchnell, so he came out side by side with Birchnell, but Birchnell's actually been able to clear him, get 2.5 seconds down the road, and Hewitt now defending from Nick Wood, and we're now watching on screen Martin defending from Arnott. And we saw Martin have a scrap earlier on, and it didn't end very well. Martin going over the rumble strip and punting. I can't remember which driver it was off the circuit. So hopefully this time, this one will have a happier ending for both drivers involved.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was going to say, yeah, Martin and Arnott back side by side, remembering that it was Martin that slipped up earlier and collected Arnott on the way out. So Arnott will be seeking a little bit of redemption and blood here, I would imagine. He would love nothing more than to square up with Thomas Martin and square the ledger here.
So we're going to butt in there, boys.
Hello, Adam Lavis. Nice to have you on board.
Hey, just in a minute, I just noticed Deji's done 2 slow laps in a row. Is he not short on fuel?
Oh, that's a good point. 142.3.
Both last laps have been 42s and a halves.
Yeah, it has. And the margin shrinks to 7. He's only got a lap and a half to go. So I mean, on those numbers, he's still got plenty of time to play with. Let's have a listen to see. Is he doing any sort of clutching? Is he doing any sort of well, you can't clutch as much these days in GT3. iRacing removed that potential, removed that tactical play. What's he doing to try and limp it to the line, to try and get home without? Because let's remember, next time by he sees
this lap is
the white flag. This is definitely a slow lap, and that's going to take us into overtime a little bit further.
He's purple in all 3 sectors so far.
Oh, well, sorry, my apologies. There it is. Yeah, purple, and white. Sorry, I missed the graphic at the bottom of the screen there. So, here we go. Liam Banks, he's coming to the white flag. Let's see what he's going to pull off on this final lap of the race, and how big that winning margin's going to be. Denchi across the line, 1 lap to go.
I wonder if he's just saving a bit of fuel so he can whack the engine up for the last 2 laps.
Oh, 1 minute 40.25! Holy smoke! He's come out and punched out the best number of the night on the second last lap, and he did it with the first 3 fastest sectors of the night as well. And all of a sudden, I don't know why he was easing off the gas, but it was only premature, it was only temporary. And Matty Dench is on his way home. He's got 2/3 of a lap to go. He's got 52 seconds left on the clock. It's going to be 3 from 3. And already a real statement being made here and a real message being sent, and it's going to be a huge advantage over the likes of Shane Clancy and Connor Nixon and Glenn Arnott in the championship, remembering that Clancy's the best placed of those in 6. Connor Nixon's retired, and of course Glenn Arnott is buried outside the top 10 in unlucky 13th at the moment, and Denchi was already 22 points up in the championship coming into this round. This could yet be another case of getting to the penultimate round of the season and him wrapping it up before we even get to grand final night. They're the sort of numbers he's pressing and punching out at the moment. Dench down for the final time to the final sequence of corners. The number 1 and the Lambo. A perfect combo so far. 2 pole positions, 3 race wins. Matty Dench too good. At the home of the Tifosi, at the Imola circuit, the Autodromo Enzo Dino Ferrari, He gets the job done in emphatic style. He wins by 8.5 seconds. Now look at Nick Wood under pressure, trying to find a way by Wayne Hewitt here to salvage 8th in the closing stages. What can he do? It's all going to be in the run to the line. He's got one opportunity down here at the left-hander. And if not, he might run out of time because there's not enough time to get into the slipstream and take advantage of the toe from the last corner of the checkered flag. Is there a big send here from Nick Wood? No, there's not. He'll follow Wayne Hewitt around. They'll be 8th and 9th. Matt Distill's come across in second. The winning margin 8.5. Have a look at Wood now, all over the back of Hewitt, all the way up towards the line. The checkered flag is out. Wayne Hewitt's going to get 8th. Wood will have to settle for 9th. The case of what might have been. Oh boy, Holgerson third, Cox, Mitchum. We didn't see much of them tonight. Mitchum was within a second of Cox there at the end, but it amounted to nothing. Clancy, Birchnell, Hewitt, Wood, Glissett, Wright, Martin and Arnott. Arnott couldn't get by Martin again. He'll be frustrated by what happened earlier. Then Stewart, McCubbin and Johnson. So McCubbin got by Johnson in the closing stages, and Shane Benici was 17th and the last of the finishers a lap down. Oh, so we got to 35. Happy with that. The old calculator's working okay to start the season. It doesn't need an oil change or a battery check just yet. That's good. Dench gets the job done, 8.5 seconds, and another emphatic performance on a Monday night. And are we even slightly surprised? The answer is no.
Absolutely not. And that's about just between 2.2 and a quarter of a second a lap faster than Distill. And I tell you what, being within a quarter of a second of Matty Dench is no mean feat.
And look at, if you don't mind, he's got fuel left over. He can actually celebrate with some doughies for a change. How about that? Very rarely do we see Matty Dench lining it up on a Monday night. Usually he's running on an oily rag by the time he gets to the checkered flag. He's got left over. Oh, brilliant. Enjoy the celebrations with the Lamborghini. If you can see it in amongst all the tyre smoke. Fantastic stuff. Oh, brilliant. Well done, Matty Dench. Let's have a look at that classification run sheet, that scoreboard once again, if we can, please, Sam Chapman. That's, well, it was first, second, and then daylight. And it was 14 seconds from Matt Distill, who's joining us here for chat in just a moment, back to Alan Holgerson, then Simon Cox just edged out. Richard Mitchum, Shane Clancy, Daniel Birchnell, Wayne Hewitt, bugger all in that, only just under 0.2 of a second between Hewitt and Wood. And then we got down to Glissett, Wright, Martin, and then Glenn Arnott in 13th place. Stewart, Johnson, McCubbin did very little beyond that. McCubbin was 0.25 away from Johnson in the end. But, yeah, all eyes were on the front end of town, and Matty Dench punching out his fastest number of the night on the second last lap of the motor race. And then just rubbing salt into the wound by punching out a 1 minute 40.4 on the run to the checkered flag. 35 laps, caution-free. Not the most exhilarating race we've ever seen, but not the dullest either. And as I said, we made up for the lack of quantity with depth and quality. And Matty Dench is very much at the top of that at the moment. 3 from 3 to start the season. But Matt Distillers, we welcome you into the post-race show here on the platforms of the GSRC across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. Nice to have you on board, mates. Certainly a better run than what we saw last week in Detroit. You came into the round 7th on points. You've improved on that with a second place finish, mate. And a hard-fought one at that. You pushed Denchy early, but then he broke the toe and that was it.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, definitely an improvement from Belle Isle. Nice to come back with the second because yeah, that hurt that silly mistake I did in the first race there. But yeah, I mean, Denchy's a machine. He really is. That first stint, I think, if he hadn't have done the cheeky under fuel in that first stop, we may have been able to stay with him. But he tricked me there, and then of course, then I think it was game over. From that point, yeah.
It's interesting too, mate, when we look at the final analysis of all of that. It was clear very early in the piece that if you could stick with Dench, you were going to give yourself some breathing space on the rest of the pack for the night. And by the time you got through the first stint and Dench was gone by 5 seconds, it was just a glorified training run for you for the rest of the hour because you had nowhere to play with. It looked like a very lonely run home.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I knew that if I could stay with Denchi, he would have the pace to sort of drag me along from the rest. So a good start off the second row. But yeah, for the rest of the race, it was just putting the laps down and don't do anything silly like bin it into the chips or the wall. So yeah, it was lonely, but good fun nonetheless and good points. So
Yeah, absolutely. And just going back to Belle Isle, 9 times out of 10, we've always got at least one of you happy to see the back of a street circuit. This time it was you.
yes, yep, 100%. I mean, I was expecting that to be a bad round because the Merc wasn't particularly quick there in the official races. So I was disappointed when running in P4 to actually drop all those points. But you know, street circuits, they don't often offer a lot of forgiveness if you get the line slightly wrong. So yeah, it was what it was.
What are your thoughts on the rest of the campaign, mate? I mean, next week we've got the unknown entity of Jerez, the new circuit in Spain that's been added to the iRacing server in recent times. Then, of course, beyond that, and it should be noted too, ladies and gentlemen, that next week we go racing for a 60-minute race there. Then on to Road America for 90 minutes. That will be good fun and horsepower heaven and high speed, high excitement, high drama. Zandvoort for sprint racing, Hockenheim for sprint racing. Okay, yeah, a couple of circuits that give or take. They're not everybody's favourite. Then on to Watkins Glen for 60 minutes. That'll be good. The Nürburgring follows that. Then Mount Panorama and the Red Bull Ring. So horsepower heaven to finish proceedings here. 60 minutes around the mountain and 90 minutes around the Red Bull Ring. How are you liking that calendar layout so far?
Yeah, I like it. I think listing those tracks as maybe 2 or 3, which the Merc may struggle at, but on the whole, yeah, I think it'll be quick, and I love all those tracks. I mean, I'm looking forward, obviously, to Bathurst and finishing the championship off at the Red Bull Ring, one of my favourite tracks there. So, you know, we'll keep it consistent, hopefully, and just continue the points, and probably just watch Denchi pull away into the distance, I'd suggest.
No, that's a fair assumption. That's a fair point. Now, just quickly before we let you go, because we didn't get a chance to chat to you last week, why the Merc?
I really don't know. I just sort of thought, what's something that I haven't really raced much before. I'm normally in the in official races in the Audi or the Beamer. And I did the Bathurst 12 hours in the Merc, and I thought, well, why not? Let's just keep it going. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's a tricky car to drive, being relatively heavy in the front end. It takes a bit to try and get it round some tighter corners, but yeah, no, it's good fun.
Indeed it is. And what else is keeping you busy in iRacing land at the moment, mates, as far as Term 2 is concerned?
A little bit of everything, really. I just race sort of when I can. Fairly busy with work and everything, so I'm sort of just doing the odd race here and there, and just making sure my Monday nights are free. Really, this month, which is good.
Well, and that's the thing. At least you're prioritising where you want to race, and then anything else beyond that is a delightful bonus. Mate, well done. Thanks for stopping by to have a chat here post-race. We do appreciate that. Anything from you, Liam Banks, before we let Matt Castile go?
I just want to say that was an absolutely cracking drive. I said on the broadcast you were only, quarter of a second behind Matty Dench all up, which you sort of take into account the average after finishing 8 seconds behind, and that's really good going, I think, for anyone in this category. And with the like you said, some of the tracks coming up that will suit the Merc a bit more than the Lambo potentially, I wonder if that gap will dissipate a little bit and you'll be able to stay with the speed of Denchi, even without the little bit of toe in him as a bit of a guide in the first stint like you had. And we'll see some great battles, I'm sure, throughout the season. It's given me a renewed hope that somebody will be able to take him down across a few of the races coming up. So really well done tonight.
Thanks very much, guys. Yeah, we'll see. I'll see if I can beat Matty at some point. But yeah, no, thanks once again, guys, and I'll catch you all next week.
And of course, we're looking forward to that immensely. May 1, public holiday for some parts of the country. Do not get me started on that. It's too early in the week. I'll launch into that on Thursday night when we bring Bingo back to the town, to the table. But in the meantime, Matt, have a great week, mate. Thanks for stopping on by. Well done again.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
There he is, Matt Distill. Very nicely done tonight, I would have thought. Now, I was going to say it's quite interesting. I'm opening up I'm opening up NatSoft at the moment, ladies and gentlemen, which many of you will know as the timing system in place at many racetracks around Australia for circuit racing. I mentioned earlier in the piece that the events that were taking place out there over the weekend at Queensland Raceway for round 2 of the Motorsport Australia Queensland Circuit Racing Championships had to be seen to be believed, to the point where not many people were able to confirm their results or anything because NatSoft went down yesterday and they didn't upload anything. If you are looking for results and where your favourite driver finished, this is a public service announcement. NatSoft has finally got its SH1T together, and all those results are now online, so you can go and have a look at that, which is really good to see. And on that note, well done to Jack Wood for getting his first win in Series X3 in the XLs. Well done also to everyone that came to the rescue of Stevie Chant and Kyle Comets after their rather nasty shunt on Saturday afternoon. And I know Stevie's still in hospital in Ipswich at the moment. Some of us in the inner sanctum of Australian motorsport and Queensland motorsport more specifically, we've seen the incident, we've seen the onboard, we've had various different accounts and angles made available to us behind the scenes. Nothing's gone online publicly yet, of course, but an horrific shunt for her in the XLs. The car caught fire, she rolled it 8 times, all that jazz, but thankfully she walked away with only, and I stress only, 4 pelvic fractures and a couple of cuts and bruises. So, and grazes. So well done to all involved in getting her out of the car, and well done to all and sundry who played their part in making sure that wasn't a worse outcome and a worse situation than what it otherwise might have been. And we wish Stevie the very best with her recovery and look forward to seeing her back on track a little bit later on in the season. So with that out the road, and the reason I mentioned that, if you were listening to us earlier, we actually did talk to Chris Whitaker about how he went in one of the other categories that was racing out there, and the weekend left a lot to be desired, unfortunately, for CW. Thankfully, he redeemed himself tonight in GT4. Let's press on here. We've got Simon Cox and we've got the race winner Matty Dench standing by. And we've also got Jordan Malcolm jumping in from the Pro-Am split. How'd the Ford GT go around Imola, please?
The Ford GT went very well. Got the win.
Really?
Yeah, the Ford GT.
We'll see you in the Pro split next week then, I'd assume.
We'll see once Adam punches the numbers, but yeah, the Pro split went Pro-Am split very pretty cleanly. I didn't see much of the race. But
I was going to say, it's hard to see around in front of them.
comms were really clean. And good battle behind it looked like.
Very nicely done. Well done to you on the win there. And again, whether we see you back on broadcast next week, bringing on the pro split action from the RF circuit or not, remains to be seen. Adam Lavis will surely have that information for us before too long. Well done, mate. The Ford's doing good at the moment. It'll be interesting to see what you can bring to the table in the pro split with that car.
Pro split is a different animal. You got GG doing his thing out in front, and then the racing's just a whole lot more competitive. So, and you've got less intensive points each other. There's like language, so it's harder on all levels.
You mentioned the pro split being a completely different beast. Well, same price for the car that you're driving at the moment. It's been like the black sheep of the family. GT3 racing. Not many people are taking up the offer to have a steer of it. Not even M Dench just yet, just quietly. So we'll work on that. But Jordan, well done, mate. Thanks for the update. We appreciate that, and hopefully we'll see you back on the pro grid next Monday night.
Yeah, that sounds good. The Ford GT goes alright, just it needs a decent driver to show what it can really do, I guess.
Well, on that note, obviously we know you're no slouch for Sierra, but we're looking forward to Dench just seeing if the car's got any potential in it at one point or another. The challenge is out there, whether he takes a carrot or not remains to be seen. Well done, mate. Thanks for that. Let's press on to Simon Cox and Matty Dench. Simon, fourth tonight. Is that as best you could have hoped for, or were you a little bit disappointed with that?
Well, being a racer, you're always disappointed not coming first. but congratulations to the Mats. Yeah, the barbecue motorsport guys are all back now. So we had Rob and Daniel in the Pro-Am split, and I raced the Pro split tonight. The first time I've driven a GT car in about under 6 months. So it's been a good return.
Well, let's be perfectly honest. Normally when MDEG turns up, he's got the number 1 in the car for a reason. Normally classified as race second very early in the piece. So you got third in the battle for the best of the rest. Or if I had my way already, I've been petitioning for months for the likes of Tension's mate Nicholson to be put up Pro Elite and then have Pro and Pro-Am and Am, but haven't been quite yet either. In which case that would have given you a podium finish tonight, but not to be. In saying that, very early in the piece, I came to that it was a 2-horse race. Holgerson, Cox, Mitchum, so Holgerson yourself, Mitchum, Clancy, you guys just didn't have the grunt to go with Dention just too early in the piece there.
No, but the really good race that I had with Shane and Pace at the end was I had my eyes in the mirror the whole time, so he was really pressing. But I was just losing a bit too much time in his pit stops. I just got to work on that a little bit. I was carrying a bit too much fuel. But like as I was saying, I haven't been sort of behind the wheel, but I've been helping out Wayne Hewitt for a little while last season, this season, just sort of waiting for him. So he's been going really well. Unfortunately, he didn't go last night, but yeah, he's been cracking along.
Very nicely done. Are we going to see you on the grid as a regular fixture throughout the course of the season? You didn't race last week. What about the rest of the season? What does that entail? How does that look?
Well, I haven't raced all season. I didn't race last season. The guys in the team, Rob's had a broken finger, so this is his first week back. He had it in a split for a couple of weeks, and Daniel's been pretty busy painting up some helmets, so they haven't really been behind the wheel too much. So I was just sort of driving other cars, and hopefully we make a appearance every week now. So it's good fun. A great show that you guys put on. Race control was really good, although it was actually white tonight. I didn't even know it was race control tonight. So
Well, that's a fair point. I haven't had a report from Kevin Henderson yet. Normally do on a Monday night, so that might suggest. Yeah, well, actually, no, that's right. If I remember correctly, Hendo said something there last week that he was going away on a holiday. So, if there's any steward reports or anything like that, someone's got some homework to do post-fact tonight. Now, there we go. We've got an updated point standings for you already, ladies and gentlemen. Is this correct and good to read out? Am I good to go?
Not as of yet. It doesn't seem to have updated on the website. I've just got to get 2 seconds.
I was going to say, I've got an update at my end. So as soon as you've got an update at your end, we can fire away with an update, and we'll get to the championship lead in just a moment. So Coxie, battle of the walking wounded there, it sounds like, from what you were saying. Hopefully, all the woes and shortcomings behind you guys, and we see as regular fixtures going forward.
Yep, appreciate you guys.
All right, very nice. Hey, what are your thoughts on the calendar of Breath and a few other circuits coming up? Breath, the Road America, you couldn't get 2 different tracks, I wouldn't have thought, because Breath's not exactly horsepower heaven, but Road America is. And then, of course, Zandvoort and Hockenheim for sprint racing, 2 tracks that are notoriously difficult for overtaking for sprint racing. That'll only intensify things a little bit.
There's some great tracks coming up. To be honest with you, I've only done about half a dozen laps around a ref, but I've done about 1 million laps around there.
Yes.
Way
back when Formula 1 used to visit as well.
Exactly, yes. So it's some really good tracks coming up. Road America, love it. It's probably one of the best tracks on iRacing, actually.
All right, very nicely done. Hey, Liam, anything for Simon?
No, nothing for Simon. Although you did do a very good lap, didn't you? I think you did, if I remember right, you did the 1 minute 40.1?
Yeah, I think
yes.
so. I had a bit of tyre temp problems, so I was trying to cool them down a little bit, and then I sort of had another go at it, and that's when I was sort of stringing a few good laps together. But the temp started to rise again, so I had to sort of back off and keep the grip underneath me.
Yeah, other than the Distill and Dench, I think you were the only person to get close to getting in the 1 minute 40, so that was a massive effort.
He was the closest to that 1 minute 40 threshold, just under that 141 marker, 141.1. Everybody else had no hope in hell of matching the pace at the top end of town. But yeah, that number from Coxie late in the piece was mightily impressive. Liam did notice that before anybody else, so well done to both of you. We've got GT3 AM standings on the left. We've got Waste Options GT3 Pro standings in the middle, and I'm sure that we'll get... we might even get GT3M in there as well. There it is, actually, on the screen now. So let's have a look at some points tables, and then we'll have a chat to the race winner. Thanks, Simon. Appreciate you stopping by. Thanks, Jordan, as well. Sean Rees sits on top of that championship at the moment, 116 points. Then Derice Dickerson on 110. Chuk Fung Wong on 104. 87 for Adam Holland. It's the Ferrari Cup at the moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8. So 5, 6 Ferraris, along with an Audi, a Ford, a Merc, and a Porsche. Have a look at that for an eclectic mix of race cars, especially the Ford on the back of Jordan Malcolm's success in GT Pro-Am. There's another unassuming competitor running with the Ford GT in GT3 AM. It is Greg Heaney, of course. So Tim Watson 5th, Tim Fuge 6th, Greg Heaney 7th, Jonathan Hooper 8th, Greg Padgett 9th, and Ben Woods 10th at the moment. 12 points covers the top three, and then a good little breathing space gap back to Adam Lee Holland in 4th. I'll have a full-time result for you in just a moment from the MCG, but it's going to be Melbourne getting the job done on Anzac Eve in the latest round of the AFL. There's the GT3 Pro standings. We'll have Pro-Am for you shortly. I assume Adam Lavers is crunching those numbers as we speak. Matty Dench. Holy smoke. Jeez. Just write the ticket already. Write the check already, shall you? That is extraordinary. 44 points on Shane Clancy, who has 4 on Richard Mitchum. Another 7 back to Wayne Hewitt. Then Alan Holgerson on 72 points. Glenn Arnott 70. Nick Wood 68. 67 for Matt Distill. So he's bumped up 13 spots tonight. A very, very welcome result, that one for him, and jumped up beautifully. John Wright 66. Thomas Martin 66. That makes up the top 10. Porsche, Audi, Mercedes, BMW, Ferrari, and Lamborghini in the top 10 at the moment. 6 different manufacturers in the top 10 going gangbusters thus far. We move from GT3 Pro points to... No, we'll get to GT3 Pro-M in just a moment. Let's get rid of that for the short while Adam Lavers continues to crunch the numbers behind the scenes. So even though he's not broadcasting it tonight, ladies and gentlemen, he's making sure we're giving you up-to-date information before we take a break for Anzac Day. Matty Dench, welcome. Matt Distill pushed you throughout that first stint, it's fair to say, and then a training run for the rest of the night. You came out of the second pit stop, the first pit stop with 5 seconds worth of breathing space and didn't look back. Another clinical performance from you in a season full of them thus far. 3 from 3, and it's looking good.
Yeah, tonight went pretty well. I was pretty happy, and for Matt Distill there with his pace, it was really, really good. In qualifying, he followed me out of pits and managed to stay with me on my flying lap. So yeah, I was looking forward to a really good race, and we just sort of eased into it at the start of that first stint, and then towards the end of it, we just sort of pushed pretty hard. We underfueled the car a little bit off in that first stop, and then yeah, we just had to make sure to run super fast laps to stay out in front.
Just jumping in here, Matt, to go around the grounds and give everybody the final score from the MCG. Melbourne 15-6, 96 have defeated Richmond 11-12, 78. So 23 scoring shots to 21, and Richmond still lose by 18 points. And that's, again, comes back to that point we make in AFL football about the importance of accuracy and goal kicking. 15-6 played 11-12. And Melbourne get another win at the MCG on Anzac Eve. Essendon and Collingwood to finish the round tomorrow. In the NRL, it's the Roosters and the Dragons at 4 o'clock. And, of course, at 7 o'clock, the Melbourne Storm take on the NZ Warriors. And thankfully for me, if the Fox Show wants to play ball, I can sit down and watch that one as a Melbourne Storm supporter, although I wouldn't be guiding about that one too much at the moment. We're having a shock and run. But in saying all of that, the focus is on Matty Dench at the moment in the post-race show here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, Waste Options Monday Night Motorsport, and Waste Options GT3 more to the point. we weren't sure what Imola was going to dish up for you, Denchi, but in the end, sure. You were happy to tow Matza still along in the opening stint there. At not one point did he look like he was tempted to jump down the inside and take the lead away from you. He was happy to let you do the heavy lifting, and you did just that. You pitted on the same lap, and then the rest of the night, it was just about keeping the car straight and not making mistakes and hitting your markers, and you did just that. And this is a circuit that if you do make a slight error, it can prove to be quite costly, and it can punish you. Thomas Martin and a few others found that out tonight. But for you, the overall challenge of Imola, what'd you make of it?
Yeah, pretty good once you sort of come to terms with how the car handles the anti-cut curbs. Some cars like them, some don't. But yeah, the Lamborghini seemed to be not too bad over them. So yeah, towards the end there, we were trying to push as deep as we could into the low 40s, and yeah, we managed a pretty nice time.
Indeed, we did. There's the replay of your first pit stop right now. Actually, that might have been your second pit stop. My apologies. And you came out in behind Shane Benici there, and he was about to go a lap down on you at the time, but you remained the effective race leader on corrected order. At that point, everyone was still getting through that cleansing cycle of coming in and ticking the box of completing that second pit stop. Adam Lavis picked up a point there late in the piece, mates, and I want to ask you about it. There were a couple of laps where you'd slowed right down. You were about 2 seconds off the numbers that you'd been punching out throughout the course of the night, and then all of a sudden, bang, a 1 minute 40.2. Just to, rub salt into the wound of everybody else in the field, the way in which you were able to get this Lamborghini humming along tonight. So what was the reason that we saw a couple of 1 minute 42s from you there late in the piece?
It was just to try and get a heap of temperature out of the tyre to bring the grip levels up, because, yeah, we wanted to try and go like a 40 flat, but we were just shy of that, so...
Oh, okay, so always trying to just find that extra little 10th or 100th here and there while we're not surprised. But that being said, Denchi, you've already highlighted tyre temp, and it didn't look to us. I thought tyre wear might play a part early in the piece, but the pace never really went out of the tyres or the track tonight, did it?
For my car, it was perfectly fine on the tyres. Like we weren't sliding around or misbehaving with the car at all through the first couple of stints. So yeah, the car really came alive at the end there.
All right, very nicely done. Liam, I run out of adequate superlatives to describe this bloke's performance week on week, and therefore we eventually are going to run out of questions to ask him, because it's just a wash, rinse, repeat sort of cycle that we're in at the moment. It's the more, doesn't matter the venue, doesn't matter the car. This guy finds a way to the top step of the summit.
Yeah, he really does. The good thing is in the GT3 it is a bit closer than some of the other categories. I've seen you absolutely slaughtering it in the Porsche across last season. At least in the GT3, the gap to this still was there. It was definitive, but it wasn't big. So that gives us a little bit of hope for that you'll have some race-long competition for, going forward, rather than just competition across the first stint. But yeah, what more can you say? We've basically got to wait until something goes wrong before we can say anything. But we've got plenty of races left in this season, so we'll wait and see what happens. Let's not go giving away championships just yet, even if all the evidence points in one direction so far.
Yeah, and that was not a reference to the boy band. I just want to point that out before it triggers anyone that's not a fan of that sort of music. Maddie, just coming back to finish things off with you here. Looking to actually, I think we're now ready to go with the Pro-Am point standings. Can we? Just having a look at that. I think they're up and not quite. Still a couple of things being added there at the moment, but Jordan Malcolm's going to find himself to the top of the order there on 126 points, but he stays in the Pro-Am split. Could be numbered. We'll find that out very shortly. Denchi, while we've still got you, Jerez, another European circuit that's not all about speed. There are some tight, technical, challenging elements to that circuit. It's an even playing field because we've never had a GSRC GT3 Monday Night Motorsport outing there before. What are your thoughts on the newest circuit in the server?
I think it's still on the purchase list, mate. I haven't got that one, so it should be pretty nice, even playing field, I think.
Yep, there we go. Now I'm gonna come back to you in a moment there, Denchi. Can we bring that graphic back up? And Jordan Malcolm on top of the Pro-Am series at the moment. 126 plays 101 for Alan Dawson, 99 for Dave Riddell, 81 for Braden O'Loughlin, then of course Stuart Thompson on 74, Dean Eldridge 73, 72 for Jaden Aitchison. So the Ford's got a little bit of love in this series because Ian Stale Hansen down in 17th place is also behind the wheel of the FORD GT. James Catchpole, Stephen Gallacher and Dane Snadden make up the top 10, 67, 66 and 56 respectively. 70 points already separating first and 10th. That's a fair indication of the wide scope of the points distribution thus far and who's shaping up for a very good season at the office and who's going to have a very challenging season at the office. 126 plays 101 already, 25 points the margin. You've got a Ford, you've got Porsches, Audis, BMWs in the top 10. Just the 4 manufacturers in the top 10 there, the least of all three splits. No love for the Ferrari, no love for the Merc until you get down to Rob Hill in 13th place. No love for the Lambo. So, 5 manufacturers look to be playing their part there at this point in time. Now, let's bring in Adam Lavis if we can, because he'll be able to explain the graphic on your screen at the moment. That's the points matrix. That's the matrix. That's the formula that's in place to determine who goes into what split, and Adam might be able to help us make sense of all of that since it's up on screen right now.
No, yeah, so it's just basically works sort of similar to the old 107% rule that Formula One had. So it calculates what percentage off the peak time, which is normally Denchi.
What a surprise!
What everyone else is, and then that's what the percentages are next to the people's names. So Denchi has been pipped a couple of times because he's on 0 point something. He's on 0. So a couple of people have pipped him here and there. But yeah, so that's sort of where it's sort of ordered out from there, and then that's like your average over the whole season so far. So from all 5 sessions you can see there, that's the current average. Now, obviously, like Jordan's up there at the moment, so if we were going to stick with his, there's a good chance he'd be going up to pro, so he's probably out to pro anyway. But we're just talking in the committee at the moment about whether we're going to stick with 3 splits or go back to 2, because there's only been 68 total drivers this season so far. So
copy that.
Maybe I'm not going to make any changes tonight. We'll see which way we go with the splits to whether, because it would be a bit more of a task for me to split it back into 2 splits rather than just moving people around.
Well, that's true, but at the moment, where's that cut-off line for percentages?
So
it was, and obviously that might change, but at the moment, what is it?
Looks like it's currently 1.5% at the moment.
Well, 1.5 was what I had based on last week. It's a bit fluid. I normally sort of just tweak it each week to try and keep the numbers in each split. But yeah, it was at 1.5 for last week, and that's roughly where it is at the moment if we were doing 3 splits.
All right, interesting. There's plenty to discuss behind the scenes with regards to how things look and play out for the remaining 8 weeks of the term. Denchi, the Porsche, the season there couldn't have started any better. So things are looking very good at the moment, mate. And the next assignment is the Porsche on Thursday night. So obviously, where's your focus for the next 3 days? How much time do you dedicate to the Porsche on Thursday night? And then how much time do you then, because we know how much you crave that preparation time behind the wheel on the next racetrack, on the next assignment, if you like. So how much preparation goes into Sebring and how much preparation goes into Jerez now that Imola's behind us?
Well, in terms of the Porsche Cup, we'll just rock up in the race server and take it from there. We've driven the Porsche Cup around Sebring many times, so yeah, it'll be fine. But this new track for next Monday, we'll probably buy it on Saturday or Sunday and put in probably an hour or 2 to learn the track, and
and he picks it up pretty quickly too. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already realised. Anything from you, Liam Banks, or are we good to start wrapping this baby up?
Let's wrap this baby up.
All right, I'm looking at the clock and it's 11 past 10. Some of us are dedicating ourselves to the early alarm for dawn services, be it on television or at our local organised designated dawn service locations for tomorrow morning around Australia. So it's a very early alarm for so many people, and rightly so. It's one of the most important days, if not the most important day, on our calendar. We'll get to that in just a moment. Let's wrap this one up. Thanks to Jordan Malcolm, thanks to Matt Dench, thanks to everybody else that's stopped by for a chat in the post-race show. Thanks to Adam Lavis for his help, his efforts behind the scenes, and thanks to Sam Chapman for stepping in to broadcast it on Adam's behalf at the 11th hour. We were only alerted to Adam's woes at about 4 o'clock this afternoon whilst I was out doing the shopping. Now, we can't do this without the great people that continue to scroll across the top and bottom of your screen there throughout the course of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just thank them one last time. We want to thank Waste Options for their ongoing support, particularly of Monday Night Motorsport. Blackout Electrical Solutions, Login Systems, the naming rights sponsor of the GT3 Endurance Championship. West Orange Motors, Astute Finance, Fisher and Door Lawyers, and also John Simpson and the great people at Flash Graphics. Here's a look at what's coming your way on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club as far as week 2 of Term 2 is concerned. And the next broadcast for you isn't coming up until Thursday night, if you can believe that. Go and have a rest for the next couple of nights. Enjoy everything associated with the pomp and ceremony of Anzac Day, and then, of course, the sport and the two-up and the commemorations that follow that as well, and then come back and join us on Thursday night when we head to the Hockenheim Ring first up. The production car boys are wheeling and dealing in the TCRs this week. That will be good fun from 7:25 Australian Eastern Standard Time. And then the first of the sprint rounds. 5 sprint rounds in this Porsche Elite Cup campaign this season, with thanks to the great people at Blackout Electrical Solutions, and hopefully we don't have a blackout, or otherwise the broadcast goes up in smoke. On Thursday night, that one from Sebring, and that one getting underway at around just after 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We then roll on with everything else that's happening. So the up-and-comers tomorrow night, not broadcast on Wednesday night. It's, of course, Formula Ford into the V8 Supercars. On Friday night, it's Wings and Slicks. The boys will be back with you on Sunday, April 30, for round 3 of the GSRC GT3 Endurance Championship, with thanks to Login Systems. That one coming your way from the Red Bull Ring in Austria. And race start times around 11 a.m, yeah? Anyone able to confirm that one for me, Liam?
Yes, I've got it on screen right now,
Yep.
And the I don't have it on screen because it's
No,
not.
I was going to say I am having a look at the spreadsheet and I'm struggling to read that one.
It is in the Discord. Let me get that up.
That's all good. So that's on Sunday. The boys will be with you for that. Sam and Liam wheeling and dealing throughout the course of the day. Then we're back to start the month of May next Monday night, if you don't mind, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. And I apologise, Adam Lavis. I only got your message about 3 minutes ago, about 3 seconds ago, from 3 minutes ago, saying that you're seeing yourself out with an early start tomorrow morning. So good luck with that. So yes, next Monday night we get back underway. Round 3 of Monday Night Motorsport and Waste Options GT4 and GT3 championships, respectively. Week 3 of Term 2 and Night 1 thereof. So Night 1. Term 2, Week 3. There we go. 1, 2, 3. It lines up nicely. Indianapolis, the venue for the 25-minute sprint race for the GT4s. We're not on the oval. We're on the road course there, if you don't mind. That's 7:25 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Then on to the Jerez circuit in Spain. So once again, we go from North America to Europe, from the entree to the main course to the Jerez circuit. We'll be bringing you the Pro Split next Monday night. It'll be 60 minutes. It'll be from 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, and looking forward to that immensely. So lots to look forward to right here on the platforms of the GSRC across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. Grant Gilles will be in the house with us on Thursday, producing all the action there for you and directing the broadcast as well. We've had fun tonight. I don't think we can look past M. Dench for driver of the night. That was just clinical again. But what a cracking scrap we had when we eventually got to have a look at it, Liam Banks, in GT4. And that championship's going to be up and about and hotly contested this season. Michael Hammond back in the winner's circle. And you know when the 007 and the Porsche are finding their way to the top of the podium, that GT4 is going to be well worth keeping an eye on throughout the course of the season. And then you've got cameo appearances from the likes of Chris Whittaker that keep us on our toes as well.
Yeah, certainly did. GT4 is a lot of fun. It's a shame we had some broadcast issues at the start of the GT4, so we couldn't bring you the entire race as we would like to, but we were lucky to have a broadcast at all, and that's only thanks to the late intervention of the brilliant Sam Chapman, who has been producing tonight and will be producing on Sunday for the Endurance Championship, which I can confirm starts at 11 o'clock, and we'll be bringing the first 90 minutes to 2 hours, depending on what's happening on track, and then we'll have a break in the middle of the race, so that we can have a break, or in my case, get on the wheel, and then straight into it for the last 2 hours to 90 minutes. Again, we'll depending how the race is going, we'll see on the day how that unfolds. Generally, it has been the closer to the first 2 hours and the last 90 minutes, but it's a little bit fluid depending on how the race is going. So really looking forward to that, and please do join us for that, because it's great fun.
Certainly is. Mate, thanks for your efforts again tonight. Always nice to work with you. Looking forward to doing the same again next Monday night, as we get the Thursday night Motorsport band back together on a Monday night this season. And on the subject of Thursday night, that's when we'll see you next. But of course, get out there and show your respect and gratitude to our servicemen and women tomorrow, because that's what it's all about. The 108th anniversary of the landing at Gallipoli. And yeah, I mean, I can still remember just how much more prominent everything was for the 100th back in 2015. I can only imagine how big the recognition and the commemorations are going to be when we get to the 110th in 2025. But yes, the 108th anniversary of the landing, the fateful landing in Gallipoli, Turkey. And of course, if you want to catch the dawn services tomorrow morning, you can do so across ABC 7, 10 and 9. And 9 will also broadcast the Gallipoli and Villa Bretonner dawn services as well, around 12:25 Australian Eastern Standard Time. And then, of course, the footy's on as well, the NRL, the AFL. There's a lot to sink your teeth into on Anzac Day. It's one of the special days on our calendar. And we continue to be forever grateful to servicemen and women, past, present, and future, for what they've contributed to Australian history, what they've contributed to Australia's way of life, and the fact that we get to do what we do because of the sacrifices those people have made and will continue to make going forward, whilst representing the nation and doing so proudly. So on that note, on behalf of Liam Banks, Sam Chapman, Adam Lavis, the rest of the broadcast commentary and production team here on the Gentleman Sim Racing Club platforms across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube, we sincerely hope that you've enjoyed Monday Night Motorsport. Matty Dench and Michael Hammond, the race winners in GT3 and GT4 respectively. Denchy, the championship leader by a fairly comfortable margin after only 2 rounds in Waste Options GT3. Lots to be excited about in Waste Options GT4. And don't forget, as the season continues, we'll duck away from the Pro Split for a few weeks and check in with Pro-Am and Am respectively. And of course, that will also be determined by whatever happens midweek behind the scenes with our hard-working committee members in what is sometimes a thankless job, what conclusions they draw and what direction they take with the rest of the season, and how they respond to the numbers that have turned up for GT4 and GT3 Pro-Am and Am so far. So, but our commitment to covering a mix of races from both or all 3 splits, whatever it ends up being, remains the same. So Pro next week, and then we'll duck away and check out what the second split is up to. On behalf of the entire team here, we sincerely hope that you've enjoyed Anzac Eve and night 1 of week 2 of term 2 for the season 13 of the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. And we wish you all the best for Anzac Day commemorations tomorrow. For the team, I'm Zach Caban saying, lest we forget.